Hello, good evening, and good welcome to Game and Tavern's YouTube channel. Once again, I'm Jamie, and it's about halfway through the year-ish. So I've decided it's time to get our good friend AJ back for a chat on how the year's gone, games we've liked, games we don't like, things in the news, things we're looking forward to, and all sorts of other wonderful things. When was the last time we spoke, AJ? I don't remember. It was the end of the year last year, was it?
Would have been the end of the year when we were doing a kind of a recap of our sort of what we thought was the best of 2025. Yeah.
Yes, 2025. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a lifetime ago.
I know. Yeah, God. I had to double check as well. I was like, wait, no, has 2026 happened? Or no, it was 2025 last year. Jesus.
Yeah, time is going both quick and slowly at the same time, and I can never quite figure out where I'm at. But yes, we're halfway through July as we record this. We've got lots of games that we've played this year. I know you've got a lot of games you've enjoyed, played this year. A lot of good things in the industry, a lot of quite shitty things in the industry as well, which we'll probably get into at some point as well. But firstly, let's just have an overall sort of general yay or nay. Are you feeling positive about the year in gaming in general, up to, as I said, halfway through July at this point?
Well, if you've read any of the stuff that I've posted on Xbox Tavern, there's probably a hint that maybe I'm not quite as positive on the games industry at large. But I would say, in terms of game releases, it's been a weird one. I think everyone is pretty terrified of one of the games that you're really excited to play this year. And I think that's impacted our entire release schedule. And so there's been some really amazing like little indie releases that have come out. But in terms of big games, everything is it feels haphazard, as people are like, oh, we've got to get out of the way for this. And then dates have changed and they're like, oh, well, we'll have to get away from that as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's the stuff they've played has been brilliant, but it hasn't been the same floodgates as the previous 2 years for me. What about you?
Much the same, I think. It's been some very, very high highs so far in terms of what I've played, which again we'll get into. But the constant news cycle of layoffs, closures, AI, physical media, etc. It's just been yay, and then bang, 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 get back down. But the game's really good. Yeah, but I don't care. Get there. Yeah, so I feel like it's not been quite as. I think last year was a really good year overall in general. I know there was still a lot of guff with layoffs and all that sort of stuff, but this year's it's not quite as positive overall, I don't think. But still, we've got some good games we played. We've got some good games we're looking forward to, and I don't want to dismiss the layoffs, but for the moment, let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on what we've enjoyed, and what these people, whether they're one of the studios affected or not, have provided us. So we've got a list of games that we've each put together of what we've enjoyed so far this year. Game of the year contenders and shout outs and stuff. So I'm going to ask you to go first, if that's all right.
Sure. I'm going to start at the bottom of my list. So there's one that crept up on me. I played it for a bit and was kind of like, this isn't hitting. And then I did a couple of trips with a buddy, and we had the ROG Ally set up with 2 controllers connected to it.
Oh, yeah.
And we end up playing the game co-op. Now, the game I'm talking about is Absalom. It's made by the Dotemu guys, who did things like Streets of Rage 4, which is, to me, the gold standard of modern beat-em-ups.
Oh, yeah.
And they also worked on Windjammers 2, which, honestly, if you want to talk to me about Windjammers 2, I'll talk about Windjammers 2 till the cows come home. But Absalom is just like, it's another really solid beat-em-up mixed with a roguelite element. And what I didn't get the first time I played it was that the depth of customization of each of the characters can get insane. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it will definitely come up in my top 10 at the end of the year. But one of the things I loved about this game was it starts off and you're doing your punchy, but there's one guy who's a little dwarf with an eye patch, and if you build him correctly, you can turn the game into a crowd management shooter. So you get these 3 abilities that power a meter, and the meter, when you use a special, if you've got the right level up, it will spawn not enemies, but allies that will fight alongside you. So if you get the right combination, you can get a thing that gives you infinite meter, which means you're basically just constantly spawning these allies to attack, and then just standing at the back and shooting at the enemy. And then, like, I love when a game is that imaginative with its rules that you can break it in a really, really satisfying way. And so, yeah, Absalom by .emu is really, really high up there as a genius roguelite.
I was immediately in because of .emu, because of, like you said, Streets of Rage 4 is one of my favourite games, probably ever. Certainly my favourite game in one of my favourite games last decade or so. Excuse me. And I played it with Graham, MVB Graham from the site, and he'd played about an hour or so before me. Excuse me. And he'd got quite far. He got some upgrades and stuff. So I joined him, and my first playthrough was quite easy because he was basically steamrolling everything, and I was just mopping up the XP behind him. And I played a little bit on my own. It was a lot harder, but I was loving building, like you said, the roguelite element of what my character can do when the powers I want to aim for. And I didn't have anything quite what you just described there, where I was basically, winning or left, right, and centre because I got my ass handed to me. But I did enjoy it. I've still got it installed on the Ally as well. Every now and then I sort of, should I give it a go? And then inevitably something else comes up, or something else pops up that's brand new, or what have you. But yeah, it's a really, really good game. Highly recommend. It's in Game Pass. And like you said, perfect on the handheld. Runs really well. Yeah, very, very good game indeed. Nice. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to very quickly. Just rattle through these first few sort of honourable mentions as well. Screamer. Have you played Screamer, AJ?
I have not, but I have played. Well, I have played the original 1990s game, which I think came free with my friend's graphics card or something. How does this game line up with the or have you played the original Screamers?
I've not. To be honest, I'd never even heard of it before I played this.
Okay.
This, remake, but I have watched some videos after the fact, and it looks very of the era, like like a what's it, Ridge Racer cross Sega Rally cross just arcade races of the time. It looks pretty cool. I might try and check it out at some point. But yeah, this one is super fast-paced action. It sort of reminds me of something like Burnout, where you're punished a little bit for bouncing off the walls, or not taking a turn properly, but not to the extent where you're going to suddenly drop way back and you've got no chance to come back. The controls involve accelerate, brake, drift and stuff, but if with the right stick you can flick it to kick the back end of your car out, and that gives you a bigger drift. And to get around some of the sharper corners faster, you really have to sort of doing it like the old what was it, say Crazy Taxi, when you like boosting around left, right and centre.
That's magic.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game to watch, to play, to control. It feels tremendous. The tracks are all very well designed. There's a couple early ones that I was like, this is very easy, and then I got to a certain one, I was like, Jesus God, I'm like pinballing off the fucking walls left, right and centre. I'll get my ass handed to me, but yeah, the game moment to moment gameplay is tremendous. You also get abilities like a boost and I forget exactly what they call it now. It's like a attack, basically. You charge up a boost and you can drive straight into the back of the other cars and blow them up, or you can use that to defend from an attack behind you as well. And
so is it how does it compare to the two last great combat races, Split Second and Blur?
Oh, now you're testing me. I've played a little bit of Blur. I don't think I've played Split Second. From what I remember of playing Blur, it's very similar in the terms of speed, like the arcade handling, the arcade feel, and just the sheer desire to be like, right, forwards now, and it doesn't matter where we're ending up, just keep going as fast as you can. And it sort of reminds me in a way of, again, Burnout, like I said, but an element of like the Sonic races we played last year, again, Crossworlds, in terms of just that pick up and play. Like you can go wrong, you can go dreadfully wrong, but you can't really go wrong because there's always a way to claw your way back, or there's always something you can do where you're not just miles behind the pack.
You're singing. I eyed up Screamer, and I don't know why I didn't push the button, but you're selling me on this. What about the art style? Because it seems pretty distinct. Like, does it follow through on that in a good way?
It's got a very almost sort of, again, burnout style realism to the cars and the tracks and that. But in between the races, you've got like anime cutscenes and still anime things where they're talking. It's quite an interesting story and quite an interesting, like, the voice acting's pretty good. Keep subtitles on if you play, because it's all in the native language. So you have like
cool.
someone talking in English and then someone replying in German and Japanese and Italian and all this sort of stuff. And I turned off the subtitles at first. And I was like, I'm missing half of what's going on. So yeah, make sure you keep the subtitles on. But yeah, it's really so cool. It's really cool, and the characters are quite interesting. They've all got their sort of interweaved stories and stuff. And there's quite a long campaign to go through. It sets it up as like, I think it's like 19 races to start with, but then once you've beaten them, it then extends way beyond. I haven't even got to the end yet, and I've played it for quite a long time.
So how long would you say it is, roughly?
I'd say you're probably looking at 15 to 20 hours, I'd say, to get through the campaign itself. Like doing, obviously some of the races you have to replay because they're quite challenging, and each race in the story has got like certain objectives, like destroy X amount of cars or destroy a certain racer's car, because they're all like, all the races are in teams of 3. So you might have to destroy one particular team or one particular person in particular, or get round a lap in under this time, or all the sort of the standard races objectives like you would get normally.
So those objectives additional, or are they the main purpose?
They're the main purpose. So it might be you need to win the race, but you also need to finish, get your team across the finish line first, or like I said, destroy a certain racer, or beat a certain time, or what have you. Some of them are just win the race, which is straightforward enough. But yeah, occasionally they throw these other objectives in. The one thing I did really like, which I'm not entirely sure if it's in my head or not, is when you boost in, you can change gears manually, and when you change gear, you get a little boost, and it fills up your boost bar a little bit faster, which is really cool, especially when you go around a corner and you hit it, and you just see yourself powering and sliding around it. But when you get to max gear, highest gear, max speed, the music is fucking pumping away. It's really cool soundtrack they got going, and the controller starts to vibrate in time to the music. And I was like, is that really happening, or am I just imagining it? But the problem is I can never really consistently maintain top speed before I have to slow down again. But yeah, that's a really, if it is what is happening, which I think it is, it's a really cool touch, and it just makes you feel more excited when you're in the race. It's like, I'm fucking into this now. Oh shit, no, we'll go back to max speed. But yeah, it's I didn't expect to like it anywhere near as much as I did. But yeah, it's a fantastic racer, and something that you can play online. I think it's 12-player lobbies, or again you can just do offline races or the campaign. Yeah, really, if you even remotely on the fence, AJ, I recommend hit that button, get it across the finish line, 'cause it's tremendous.
You have sold me on it. I will check it out before the end of the year for sure. I do love that stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I said, it was at that point my game of the year until I started playing a few other things. They've just knocked it down the list a little bit, but yeah, tremendous arcade racing action if you're into that sort of thing.
No, I am definitely.
And what else are you into, AJ? Tell me.
So I'm going to start with another simple one. This one's going to be really, really quick because I haven't got a lot to say about it. But it's a mini shoot adventure, and it's essentially a top-down twin-stick shooter, but it is built like a Legend of Zelda original. So you're going to explore dungeons, you're unlocking new things. Those things will then allow you to go to different areas. There's boss fights and everything. Now, there's not a lot more to say about it. It's just a really well-crafted indie game. The graphics kind of make it look like it's like a Flash game at first, but there's so much actual enjoyment to the game. I can't recommend enough. It's not going to be, like, honestly, it's not going to be really, really high up on my top 10, but it was just one of those ones where I picked it up, I played it almost from start to finish in 2 days, and sometimes there's just a joy in a well-crafted, well-executed little game. And I actually, because I'll talk about this a little bit on another game, I hate exploring and trying to find all of the extra bits and bobs. Like, I'm just not as soon as you put a red door and go, come back when you have the red skill, I'm like, I will only come back if I have to. I actually went way above on this game and actually collected way more stuff than I was, just because I was enjoying the moment to moment. But we don't have to dwell on that one. It's just it's gonna be a strong recommend for if you like that style.
Yeah, it's been on my list, installed on the Ally as well since it come out, but I just haven't had time to go. Graham, again, calling back to him, he really enjoyed it. He said, you said it's like a Zelda, like in like the top down, like appearance and gameplay, but then it's a bullet hell.
But it's also a twin stick shooter as well. Yeah. And it works. The two things marry super well. It's done just to. I didn't think I wanted it, and then I played it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm down. This is great." So yeah.
Yeah, very nice indeed. It's we've got a lot of great games to shout out, like we said, and a lot of ones that we might cross over a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's going to be I think this is going to be a recurring theme. You've played it. Yeah. Oh, I really want to play it. I've played it. Much like last year, I think when we talked about our games of the year, it was like, oh yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to just round in circles. Yeah, nice.
So what's the next game on your list?
The next one, again, I won't spend too long on it because I'm going to talk about it at great length later in the year, I'm sure. But Planet of Lana 2. Did you play the first Planet of Lana?
I did play the first one because it's a kind of a cinematic, what I would call a cinematic platformer, in the sense that like you're moving from left to right. There are like set pieces of stuff. I was really impressed by the visuals. I thought there's some really good end game payoff. But I guess I had a bit of what I would call like a cinematic platformer like fatigue, because I think I played Somerville and I think it was called Somerville.
Yeah.
It might not be it. And Planet of Lana in the same year, and I was like, I don't need another Limbo or Inside. Pitch me on the sequel. Like, why should I play the sequel?
Well, I didn't like Somerville as much as I hoped to, but Planet of Lana I really liked. And this one is basically takes it what that one does and just does it again but better. So sometimes you go right to left, so just mix it up a little bit. But yeah, it picks up where the first one left off, and it's the same thing. Like you said, cinematic platformer like Inside and Limbo. So you're running through. There's set pieces where you I just made it. Was that me or was it the way they design? But it's fucking brilliantly made. It looks tremendous. The soundtrack, I love the soundtrack of Planet of Lana. Just that little 5-note motif. Oh, it's brilliant. And yeah, it's wonderful. It's just a wonderful game. I had a great time playing it, and I can't recommend it high enough. Especially if you like the first one, or if you even engage with the first one. This is an absolute must play as far as I'm concerned.
Is it a direct sequel to the first one, or is it a spiritual sequel?
No, yeah, it literally, like the opening cutscene sort of does a quick recap, and then you pick up. I don't know if it's immediately or a week later or whatever, but basically almost straight away up from the end of the first game.
Interesting. So, I mean, what's the story because I felt like Planet of Lana was a complete story. Like, I don't want to put spoilers for it, but I was like, all right, this is done. Like, where do they go with it, so, basically?
Without spoiling too much, obviously, it focuses more on how the people of the planet arrived and the ancestors that sort of come before them, and the origins of certain characters, and again the enemy, the robots and all that, and how it all come to be that they were fighting. Again, I won't spoil anything of specifics. Because I don't want to, and B, because my memory's not great and I don't want to get something wrong specifically. But yeah, it's all about the origin of the people of the planet and Lana and the rest of the characters that we've met before, and a host of new ones as well. Which, but it's the same style of there's no speech, there's no text, nothing like that. It's all in-game storytelling. Just through the music, through the visuals, and through the gestures and stuff of the characters. So. Yeah, it's really well done, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, I'm going to talk a lot more about it later in the year, I think, when we come to the end of the proper game of the year, end of the year one, because it's still right up there at the minute. Yeah.
Well, curse you, Jamie, because it's now gone on to my wish. I've literally just clicked and added it to my wish list.
Damn right, we're having success. We're having great success so far this evening. What else was on your wish list? But then you ended up playing, AJ.
So this one is kind of a little bit bittersweet because of what's going on with Nacon right now. But it's actually the third stroke fourth in the series, called Styx Blades of Greed, I believe is in the name. So this game actually originally started on the 360 with a game called Of Orcs and Men, and there was a foul-mouthed Styx character in it. And then they built two games that essentially are prequels to that game around Styx. They were stealth games, and they were very hardcore stealth games, which I really, really appreciated. And the first one, I think, has got actually standout storytelling. So it's a full 3D exploration type thing, a kind of Thief-y-ish, but from third-person perspective. And this third one just feels like the team were going from strength to strength, in that they make it a direct sequel to the second game. And like Planet of Lana, it is like seconds after the game finishes on the second one, the third one starts. But what they've done is they've opened up the world a little bit more, made it a bit more 3D exploration. There's a lot more kind of being able to move between different things, move between different areas, return to them to find other stuff, unlock new things. The story is really good. The controls are so much better. Like, I love the last two, but they are proper, like, they can feel sluggish at times. Like, you feel awesome for a bit, and then you're like, God, no, I've messed this up, and there's nothing I can do. Whereas this is a lot more forgiving. There's a couple of missteps around a later biome where you're jumping through the air and launching between different areas, but it was just genuinely a really good time to play. And they did a lot of really great stuff with that game. I played through a ton of it on the ROG Ally as well, which was shocking because that game should chug a little bit more than it does. But yeah, I don't know what the future of this developer is, because with Nacon in kind of financial strife right now, there may not be another one, and I'm kind of sad because I got to the end of this game and I was like, right, what's next? And I was like, maybe no more.
Yeah. And that's going to be a recurring theme, I think, in it throughout the rest of the year, certainly. Which is which, I mean, it sucks for us, but I mean, obviously it sucks worse for those that impacted directly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I knew you were looking forward to it. I haven't got round to it yet, but as ever, it is on my list to get to at some point. I played some of the demo and I was like, yeah, I'm into this. I haven't played the second one actually. I played the first one, really liked it. And then for whatever reason,
if you tolerated the first one, if you liked the first one but found some of the controls really a little lacking, the third one feels like a ton of polish has been put into it. A lot of the moves feel way more like meaningful and in how you use them, and it just feels like the level designer has spent a lot more time thinking about, like, hey, how do I make these areas interesting as like puzzle pieces of putting stuff together. Yeah, it's really smart.
Yeah, nice. There's one for the to-do list before a certain November date comes around, and then nothing else will get a look in, I'm sure. Nice, very nice indeed. One game I wonder if you have played, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not sure if it'd be up your street or not. Mixtape.
I really want to play this game. It's been recommended to me by multiple people. It's also, I saw a very scathing review, I think, from Aftermath that was like, who is this game for? They were like, this doesn't... Perfect. Okay, so explain what this game's about to me. Yeah.
It's basically a 90s coming of age movie, which I'm not a big movie guy, if anyone knows. Don't do movies, but I like the stories of that sort of era, 90s kids growing up, going through their sort of discovery phase, finding great music, finding good friends, lifelong friends, etc., etc. And that basically is what this is. It's a 4-hour adventure. You play as you play as one of the 3 teenagers who are on their last night together before they all grow up and go in their separate ways. One's going off to New York to become a music supervisor. One's going off to college. One's not really sure what he's going to do with his life. And it's just it's a tremendous story of these friends spending this last night together, trying to plan to go to a party at the end of the evening. And at being teenagers, how are we going to get drink? What are we going to dress? Who are we going to speak to? What if we see Jenny fucking Goodspeed there, who is like the nemesis of the main character, and that's how you have to refer to her at all times, Jenny fucking Goodspeed. And along the way,
how does it play? Is it like a point and click game?
It plays very much like a Telltale game. So there's little areas where you walk around and there's things you can pick up and interact with, which will kick off dialogue between the characters, and then there'll be like a main objective to pick up. And once you pick that up, then you get into a cutscene, and then there'll be a short gameplay sequence. Some of these are very weird, like the very first one when you very first boot up the game, you're skateboarding downhill. And it's just literally just skateboarding. You can go faster, you can slow down, you can do little jumps and that, but you're just skateboarding, listening to I forget the song now, but listen to this song that kicks off the whole point of this mixtape is that she's made the soundtrack to create their last night together. So she has picked 20 odd songs, and each song is a chapter. And so again, you're skateboarding downhill, you listen to this first song, there'll be a little story bit where they're chatting, and then the next song will kick in and you'll be doing something else along to that song. For example, Silverchair, one of my favourite bands of all time, they pick Freak, and that's when they're driving in their car, just headbanging, just having a great time, and that's literally all you're doing. But it's just about the moment and the feeling of, again, you can cast your mind back to when we were that age, just no real responsibilities, nothing to do, just driving down, just listening to music, having a good time with your friends. And then there's some weird ones later on, like you turn into like a Godzilla type and you're just stomping around this little model town. And there's my favourite one, I think, was you skipping rocks on the lake, and there's little things where you think, I wonder if I can hit that, and you throw it and you hit like a tyre over, or you hit a broken bottle, and then something else will pop up and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, where did that go? And then you hit that, and then something else will pop, and there's just all these different targets to try and hit, and you can leave it after about 30 seconds, but I was there about 20 minutes just skipping rocks, just knocking the shit out whatever I could aim for, and seeing what happened.
Is it fun to throw the rocks, or?
It is tremendous fun. I had a great time.
Okay.
Yeah, there's very simple mechanics. I know that some of the people who saw 10 out of 10 reviews like mine were like, it's not a real game, you're just walking from left to right. And I understand why people would look at it like that, but in my eyes, it's not necessarily about, I'm not looking for parry mechanics and dodge rolls and RPGs. I'm just looking for something that I can have fun playing, enjoy the story, enjoy the music, which is obviously a massive part of this game, and just go along for the ride. And that's what I loved about it. It was just 4.5 hours of just going along for the ride, interacting to a limited degree, but still an enjoyable degree, and just seeing where these characters went and where the story went, and just reliving my youth personally. I know not everybody's as old as I am, but if you grew up in that sort of time frame, I wasn't out skateboarding and skipping rocks and stuff necessarily, but that just feel of just hanging out with your friends and having a good time, not worrying about I've got work in the morning or the kids need this or I've got whatever. That's what I like about Mixtape. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time, and I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, 10 out of 10, one of the few 10 out of 10s this year certainly.
That's hitting some notes for me. Okay, so question to follow up for this, because as we all know, in the 90s, the mixtape was a method of wooing a lady. Obviously, you met a girl that you liked and you made her a mixtape. With it turned into a burn CD very quickly, but there was an art to the mixtape of actual proper recording stuff to tape, spending time with it. If you're going to put like 3 songs to put on a mixtape, what 3 songs would you have to put on it?
Or from the 90s, or now, or
from the 90s. Yeah, imagine because we're harking back to the 90s. The mixtape, you got to put 3 songs on it.
Now then, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I actually did at some point, but I'm trying to think. Personally, I'd have to put a Silverchair song on there. Probably not Freak. Probably more like I don't know now. Maybe it would be Freak. Actually, thinking about it. Let's go with Freak. Why not? Let's stick with Freak. Now then, Nirvana. I think you got to have a Nirvana song on there.
Obviously.
Possibly Heart-Shaped Box.
Good choice. I like that. Yeah.
And let's go Alice in Chains and Let's go Rooster, because I like that one.
Rooster's absolutely awesome. Great song.
I'm going to flip it round now. Tell me.
Okay, all right. So obviously, I'm a bit of a new metal kiddie, so some of that stuff's going to get on there. But actually, if I was going to do 3 songs, it would have to be Nirvana, but it would probably be, because if it's for wooing a lady, don't want it to be too heavy or anything like that. So I'd probably go with The Man Who Sold the World, the cover from the live version.
The Unplugged album, yeah, very good.
The Unplugged album. And then for track 2, I would probably put something. I'd probably go for something like PJ Harvey, off of the kind of more poppy one. So the Whore's Hustle and the Hustler's Whore would probably be the one I'd go from that one. And then I would probably do something super super cheesy. What do you close that out with? I'd probably just put something off from the Green Day Nimrod album on it, or something, or maybe something like that. So, I would have to go super cheesy and do Time of Your Life.
I was about to say it's got to be Time of Your Life, isn't it?
Because these are supposed to be me being like, hey, I'm alternative, but I'm sensitive as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
I've got a soul deep in here.
But also, like, not too obscure. I've got to do like the hits. The obscure can come for later. But yeah, true story. I've written a couple of novels. One of them is actually available online, and I actually, for each chapter, I wrote a mixtape for each chapter. So there are 2 to 3 songs that you listen to get into the mood of whatever the chapter was for. So yeah, as soon as you started saying, it's they're making a mixtape for the last night of their thing, I was like, I know what that feels like. And it's got to be just right as well, because
that's her whole point. Like she's like, we have to do this particular task now because the mixtape demands it. Like does it, and obviously that might not go over so well with her friends that are trying to do other things, but it sounds like it's going to be right up your street.
Okay.
I couldn't recommend it enough for you and for anyone really. Like I said, I thought it was fucking excellent. Really, really good game. And again, no spoilers, but there is a part in early on where they do have like the wooing angle with someone made a mixtape, and I won't tell you what song they made, what song they picked, or what happens in it. But yeah, a highlight of the game, tremendous.
Okay, really. I'm just imagining like Seal's Kiss from a Rose or something.
It's I don't think you'd guess it in a million years. I'd never heard it, if I'm honest with you, but I don't think you'd guess it in a million years. It's excellent. Nice. Mixtape, tremendous stuff. Well worthy of 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. Right, you got another couple on your list, so hit me up with your next one, please, then, Mr. AJ.
So, I think this will tie in a little bit with one of yours as well. But I think basically, we're in like one of the golden ages of Capcom. Like, I don't think Capcom has released a bad game in 3 years. It just seems to go on from strength to strength, and they seem to me. I mean, it's gonna happen. They're gonna mess it up eventually, but I'm happy to exist in this time. I remember seeing this game maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It looked like the Kojima logo from the new Kojima Productions, and I was like, what is this? But okay, sure, I'm sure it'd be fine. And then it's called Pragmata, and I'll repeat it again at the end of this, but like, essentially, the premise is this guy lands on, is it the moon? I think it might be the moon.
I think it's the moon,
yeah, he lands on the moon with a group of people, but 3D printers and AI have gone awry and created all of these like bots, and he meets up with this little girl. It's Hugh, and I can't remember her name. Sorry. He gives her a nickname.
Is it Diana? Is that what
it might be Diana. Yeah. And they team up basically to try and stop the AI 3D printing robots. And the whole combat, all the combat is third person. It's got a real chunky feel to it. But the big spin, and I can see why they took a while to get this right. The big spin is when you aim down your sights and lock onto anything, you can shoot at them, But there is a little puzzle going on in the top right of your screen that you use the face buttons to steer through, to do extra damage, and then to open them up so you can do more damage to them. And when someone pitched it to me at first, I was like, this is never going to work. But the way that they do it is every combat feels a little bit like it's running more in slow motion. Like all of the enemies are built around giving you enough time to do the puzzle and or for it to not reset as long as you don't get hit. And it just feels brilliant. Like the whole thing just feels crafted within an inch of its life. And it just ends up being so much like there's no part of it that like I wasn't just like, hey, I just want to keep doing this. And like I said a little bit with Mini Shoot Adventure, I don't collect everything in the game, but I actually spent more time in Pragmata than I needed to because I was so engaged with the mechanics. And honestly, like the other thing that I was really wary about was the dynamic between Hugh and Diana, which is I was like, okay, we got another sad dad game. It's going to be sad dads. You know, what's Hugh's dynamic going to be? He's going to be like, oh, you know, there's this thing going on, and now I have this surrogate daughter. That is not the tone of this game at all. It feels more like an older cousin or an uncle hanging out with a precocious preteen, and their whole dynamic is like so much fun. She's so excited about the world, but he never shits on her at all. He's actually really encouraging of her like enthusiasm for all of this stuff, and it's just like it just works, every part of it. Like, yeah, the story, I wasn't expecting to get anything out of it, but I was like, I love the dynamic between these two people, and the gameplay is phenomenal, just so tight. Capcom is not missing at the moment. Kunitsugami, I thought maybe was going to be a failure, but it actually is dope as hell. Dragon's Dogma 2, as we both agree, is great. Street Fighter 6 was the best Street Fighter in a long time again, and yeah, they're just firing on all cylinders. I'd be sad if this run breaks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see a lot of commentary, you know, people saying Xbox can't get games out, Sony can't get games out, etc., etc. And everyone's like, just look to Capcom. How the hell are they doing it? Just do whatever it is they're doing. You know, you might not hit the quality bar necessarily, but you know, a couple of solid releases every year for the last several years. And like you said, at some point, something's going to go wrong. But yeah, I, of all the games I've played of theirs over the last, probably since Resident Evil 2, I don't think I've really come across one that I haven't at least enjoyed a lot, if not been, you know, top tier of the year. It's, like you said, Dragon's Dogma 2 was fucking excellent. I can't wait to play the DLC later this year. But yeah, the Pragmata. So, how long would you say it runs roughly if you're looking at a average play?
I would say 20 hours.
Okay.
And it's when you first start playing it, you're like, okay, how much more can they do with this mechanic? And the answer is a shocking amount. They're really good at placing enemies in arenas in a way that makes it feel meaningful to play different variations of the same enemies. And also they add so many little wrinkles to how the little grid on the side and what the tactics you should be using. And so it's like 17 hours if you're just mainlining it, more than 20 if you want to do full completionist. There's a lot of stuff there, but like, it's a testament to how well this is constructed that it just flew by. Like, I just did not want to put this game down at any point. It's really impressive.
And that little grid you mentioned, obviously, that you control it with the face buttons, is that right?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And it's like a little maze, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and there are certain things that you have to run. Like, you can either go. So basically, you can either make a beeline for this little green point, which will be different for each one, and that will just expose the whatever enemy you're aiming at and show all their weak points. But then there might be a reason to like go through a thing that goes, hey, if you hit this, it'll actually turn them into your ally for a short period, and they'll start attacking other enemies, or it will do like explosive damage to them and stuff like that. So there's like little tactics to this, and like how you build that element of it. It's also another thing that it's really keen on, which is it's not a Dark Souls game at all. Like, it does not want to punish the player for leaving an area of combat, returning to the hub, picking stuff up, doing things, and then coming back with a better armory. In fact, it actively encourages it. Because at first I was playing it like Dark Souls, where I'm like, every time I hit the like bonfire type thing, I'm just carrying on and seeing how far I can push. And the game starts pushing back on you and going, you absolutely shouldn't be doing that. You should be returning to the hub, restocking all of your, all of the abilities, all of this other stuff, and coming back fully fresh. Because also, whenever you return to the hub, there's these really cute interactions between Hugh and Diana, which builds up their personality. Like, it's paced like in that way of being like, here's your little reward for your little break. You get to watch her being like, what is a beach ball? And he's like, yo, they're so cool. And I'm like, no, they're not, but fair enough.
Just a spacefaring child, I'm sure they are. They're like a magical object, yeah. Oh, very nice. Again, you've sold. It's been on my wish list already, so I haven't got to add it to it. But you've sold me on. I must play it at some point this year. It's one of the flaws of how many games there are. I'll get to that. No, I won't, but I will. I've definitely. I like the demo. What I played of it. Yeah. So I'll review on xboxtavern.com. I think Nathan
gave it a 9. Yeah.
He was big on it as well. So, and obviously got a lot of good reviews elsewhere as well. So, yeah, very much looking forward to checking that one out. Sticking with the Capcom theme, my last one for now, and then we'll get back to your last one. Another Capcom banger, another 10 out of 10 from me, and probably one of my favourite games of the last 10 years.
This is an obscure one. I've not heard of it, Jamie.
Yeah, just a small title. Not many people have ever heard of this series called Resident Evil, but Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem, however you want to go with it. Just, again, I was talking earlier on about like the in mixtape about the service of like the nostalgia and taking me back to the 90s and reliving my childhood. Resident Evil Requiem sort of does the same thing, obviously a lot bloodier and a lot more carnage, but it basically wraps up Leon's arc from Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Requiem. So there's lots of callbacks to Raccoon City. I mean, you literally go back to Raccoon City at a certain point, and there's lots of callbacks to his first day at the RPD. You don't necessarily get to callbacks on a lot of the old characters, like Claire I think she's mentioned in a note somewhere, but you don't really get to see her or anything like that. But it's all about him.
I know Claire. Isn't she in Resident Evil 5?
She's in all of the different Resident.
So I'm just gonna expose my complete ignorance. Like, a bunch of stuff that you just said, I'm kind of nodding along and going, I'm sure those are references I'm supposed to understand. But I've only completed 2 Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 5. Yes, right, 6.
Well, I'll let you off because that seems to be the case for a lot of people. I know Ross on the site as well. I think he's only ever played 5 and 6.
I tried to play 4. I tried to play 4 for about 10 minutes, and I was like, "What is this?" and put it down and never played it.
That's outrageous.
I know, I'm bad. But anyway, sorry. There's this whole ton of nostalgia for Resident Evil 9, and it's like hitting on all the cylinders. There's callbacks to it and stuff. But like, what is a person like me who just does not understand any of this? Why would this be like a banger, basically, for me to go in?
Oh no, you don't get to play. You're not allowed to play. It's wasted on you. Absolutely. No, you'll if you like. I was about to say if you played 7, but obviously you haven't played 7. It keeps the fantastic survival horror of Resident Evil 7 when they took it back to almost back to basics, where you got the mansion layout again, you've got the slow creeping horrors, you've got the inventory management, etc., etc. With when you're playing as Grace Ashcroft, she's not a fighter, she's not a veteran, she's a FBI like investigator, but she's in the office, she doesn't work out in the field, so she's a bit more nervous. She's constantly sort of unsure of herself, and even as a bog standard zombie is like a life life-threatening thing to her. Whereas when you get to play as Leon Kennedy, he's been dealing with it for 20 odd years. He's fought all sorts of monstrosities and beasts and Spanish plagues and all sorts of stuff. So he's just
star of Resident Evil 6, the first section of
he's the star of the good part of the better part of Resident Evil 6. We'll go with that. And yeah, so he just comes in like a fucking wrecking ball, just absolutely minces everyone. And I've always been against I've always not been as favourable of the action side of Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, because I felt like they took the series down the wrong path. I'd rather them stick with the survival horror. But what they do in this one, it's not like he does just fucking destroy fools, but he's still in danger. There's still a certain risk to it, but you just feel like a fucking badass going in. You're just popping heads and chainsawing fools in half, and he's got a hatchet which you can sharpen on the go, and he's just right, it's sharp now. It starts chopping people up again. You can parry chainsaws. You can pick up spears and lob them through several enemies. You can fight umpteen lickers at once, whereas when you played as in Resident Evil 2, even one would be like the end of the world. Now he's fighting 6 or 7 at a time, no problem, whatever, bring them on. I haven't seen the films, but I understand a lot of comparisons are made to like John Wick, where he's basically just in there, just cartwheeling around, parrying people, just fighting fools left, right and centre. And the way they've done it in this game, because they balanced the survival horror with Grace and then the more action side of stuff with Leon, it's like a perfect mix in my eyes. You bounce back and forth between them every hour or so maybe, so you're never stuck with one for too long. And even later on when you get to Raccoon City, you play as Leon for a bit more of an extended time, but it changes up the pace in terms of making it not an open world but like an open zone. So You've got this area which you can explore, and there's different objectives to complete before you can move on, but you can do them in any order. You can explore sort of side shoots and find weapon caches and upgrades and stuff that you would otherwise have missed. And then once you've done that, you go back to the more linear side, where you get the traditional Resident Evil big bad bosses and rocket launchers and skyscraper towering enemies that you've got to somehow take down with a handgun, stuff like that. And yeah, it's just everything about it, as well as the fan service. But even if you're not familiar with the older games or
what kind of fans are we talking?
Well, just the callbacks to Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4.
Huh.
No, he does. I'm sure he rips his shirt off at some point, but I don't remember. But,
a little bit of a blackout when that happened.
Just got a bit warm in there. I just had to pass out a little bit. But it's tremendous. It's a great way to wrap up that. Although again, like you said, he's been in a lot more than the 3 games. His main 3 sort of fronted 2, 4, and Requiem. It's a great way to wrap up the story, because he also is dealing with the fallback of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, where he's infected with some form of T-virus / whatever virus Umbrella have been doing, and he's trying to sort of make amends for everything he's done before it gets the better of him, because it's slowly catching up with everybody. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the way it plays out is pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. And like you said, Capcom don't miss. They certainly haven't missed with the last several Resident Evils. Village I wasn't as high on, but I still really liked it. But yeah, 2 remake, 4 remake, Resident Evil 7, and now Resident Evil 9.
And obviously Resident Evil 3 remake, which I just started.
Resident Evil 3 remake was good. I was never as... I must admit, I never played Resident Evil 3 back in the day. I only played it, I think, when it came to the GameCube. That's the first time I played it once, and then I played it again a few years back. And then the remake was good, but it wasn't as good as 2 and 4, certainly.
Right.
Although we did get Jill Valentine, which seems to be a rare occurrence these days, so I'll take it. But yeah. Let me know what you think of Resident Evil remake when you've worked your way through it. Have you got very far in it so far?
I've only done the opening section so far.
Okay.
The actual thing that I thought was really interesting about the way you talked about Resident Evil 9 is that kind of weird ebb and flow that you were talking about, which, to tie it back into mixtape, you even use the word mix. It's that quiet, loud thing.
Yeah.
Like, a good balance in a game, if you're always at 11, nothing actually feels like 11. But what you're describing is like, hey, this quiet, dangerous bit, like threatening, is the quiet part, and then the loud part with the deflecting chainsaws and backflipping and rocket launchers. That feels so good as like an interesting, again, like it reminds me of a mixtape. You're like, oh, I'm gonna do my slow song and then I'm gonna do my heavy song, kind of like get the blood pumping kind of thing, but then moving it back again, which again also to tie it into Pragmata with the idea of this is exactly what they do. It's like you do this big thing, you return to the hub, have a relax, chill out for a second, come back, do more shooting. Man, Capcom, legends, absolute goddamn legends.
It is, like you said, it's just, in my opinion anyway, it's perfectly paced because, like you said, you're not stuck with one style for too long. And there's one point, again, I won't spoil too much, but there's one point Grace is being chased by this big fucking ugly, it looks like a giant baby, I was going to say. Like it's massive, and she can't fight it at all. You're just running away from it. And then when you switch to Leon, the very first thing he does is come in and just absolutely wipes the floor with this thing. It's in like a little corridor, and it's a tight fight. But he's got fucking shotguns, he's got grenades. I don't give a shit. I'm just smacking the shit, and it's brilliant. And it's a great.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, it's a great boss battle to play because it's one of the first ones you really play as Leon. And then you just go about the medical facility, just mopping up the enemies that Grace has been avoided for the last 2 hours, and you just whatever, fucking get out of my way. I'm moving my way through here, and yeah, it's a tremendous game, absolutely excellent. I can't sing it again. I will talk about it at length towards the end of the year, I'm sure. But yeah, it's fantastic, especially if you like Resident Evil. But even if you don't, I would highly recommend jumping into that one.
Maybe I'll break my streak of only playing the worst Resident Evil games.
I mean, you've only got up to go from me. You can't get any worse. So yeah.
I watched my partner play Resident Evil 7, and it got too scary for her when it got to the first boss in a garage, I think, with a bearded guy.
Yeah, against Jack Baker. Yeah, he got the police car in, and he's chasing. Yeah. That's what I like about Resident Evil. The tight spaces, the feeling of not powerlessness, but like you've really got to overcome this obstacle. And that's what I liked about 7 and to a certain extent Village, and when you play as Grace. But then this time you get the relief, like you said, of Leon just coming in and like, this guy, I'll take on 8 of him, no problem.
Yeah.
Blindfolded with one hand.
Yeah. Cue the butt rock soundtrack as Leon like basically just wrecks fools. I love it. That's such a good balance. That's so good.
It is excellent. And yeah, I've started playing it again, but I haven't got particularly far. But I definitely want to play through it again before the end of the year because yeah, it's just fucking brilliant. Nice. All right. Well, from zombies and action and all sorts of craziness, AJ, you've got one more game on the list here. Slightly more sedate than perhaps chopping zombies' heads off.
Yes. So this game is made by, I think they're called the Game Bakers. They made Fury and
Haven.
I think it's called Haven, yeah. Which I thought Haven was fantastic. What a really great co-op RPG. Some great writing in it. I need to finish it. It was really, really fun. I really conveyed especially if you played it in co-op. Did you play it?
I finished it. I reviewed it for XboxTavern.com. Don't remember what I gave it now, but I really, really liked it. But I played it solo, so I didn't play it.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that in the co-op version of it that's so good is it conveys the need for communication between the two players really well, because there's certain things you need to fire off. And the mechanical part of Haven communicates the story mechanics. Is like, hey, if you guys are in sync as a couple, because I played it with my partner, you will be better at this game. But that's building into that story and stuff. And so their new game, I'm about to mess this up. Karen, Cairn.
Something along those lines, I think. Yeah, we'll go with it.
Yeah. It could be Ken or it could be Karen. It depends. Is another game that mechanically explains the story in this beautiful way. So the premise is you're playing this woman and she is about to climb essentially an unclimbable mountain. And the mechanics of it is kind of the best way to describe it is like either Bennett Foddy's Getting Over or Quap, where each move, you're controlling a different limb. Now, you can leave the game up to decide which limb you're going to move, because it kind of thinks it knows. It doesn't always. And you're basically moving in and trying to build it into different tension, focusing on the tension of the character. You can read the body language of the character about whether they're about to fall or not. And it's meticulous in the way that it's done. The main director, her dad is a climber, and you can tell that he consulted on it extensively and gave tons of feedback. Now, obviously, it's like Qwop, so there's some wonky bits where a leg will wobble or stuff like that, and it'll look kind of weird. But so Dean Rocket Hall did a talk a long time ago. He's one of the guys around DayZ, and he talked about the difference between realism and authenticity. And realism, you can make things ultra realistic, but actually it's not fun to play, and authentic is much more important. And Ken does a really good job of feeling authentic to climbing. I've been climbing now since like 2011, so for a good 15 years. And as I was playing Ken, I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is doing such an amazing job of communicating the tension, the stress of climbing a mountain. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably talk a lot more about it at the end of the year. I don't want to spend too much, but like, another 10 out of 10 game on Xbox Tavern. I reviewed it in January, and any other year, Pragmata would be #1 contender easily, but Karen is kind of like, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. One of the things that recently happened with my friend Matt, we sat down and I backseat drove him going through a really tense section of the game. And what was so incredible is we were able to pause it, look at the contours of the rock, and be like, hey, if you put your hand here, and then that'll change the balance and the weight of what you're doing. And so then you should be able to then move your leg. And it all worked. And it was just like such an incredible expression of the sport. And I saw a review that came out very early on that was like, it's a good game, but I don't understand why the climber is such an asshole and so bad. And I was like, I know maybe that's something because I understand, because I've spent so much time around climbers, that the lead is so immediately recognizable as someone who has deep psychological problems. And yeah, it felt like such a full picture of someone's obsession with something. And there's a point very late on in the game where a big moment happens, and I was so mad at the game because it was so cleverly put together, because it tied into a lot of the reasons I don't identify with top climbers, but one of the reasons that I'm a gamer, where it makes me make a choice, and now the right choice, I know what the right choice is, but I want to see more content in the game. And I'm like, if this was me up on this mountain, I would be making the right choice. But because I'm a gamer and I can't stop playing this, I'm going to make the wrong choice. And that moment to me made me understand some of the insane climbers that I've met in my life. It's like, oh, if I back down now, I don't see everything. I don't get to say I did it all. It's amazing. It's an amazing game, like deeply resonant for me, but also beautiful in its simplicity for how it executes its mechanics. And it's also genuinely breathtaking, like to play. Like it's beautifully rendered. It's got like a really cool kind of pastel, hardline art style. It's okay. I've gone back and replayed this game multiple times, doing the ultra hard mode where you get instant death if you fall too far, okay. And I haven't finished it yet. but I've done 3 runs now, and you'd think it'd get repetitive, but each time I learn something new, and I'm having more fun with it. It's so good. I hope it comes to consoles so that some PlayStation and Xbox players can play it. But right now, it's heartbreaking in some ways.
It is. I haven't played anywhere near as much as you have, but it is just it's a very chill game to play in it. But at the same time, it's not, because you might only make 10 meters of progress, which will take you an hour. But at the same time, you're like, this is, I'm just grabbing on, and then, like you said, the limbs will start wobbling, and you start panicking. I'm like, oh fuck, I haven't put a piton down, and I try and put one down, and I mess it out, and I was like, fuck, I've done it again. Where I've left off at the minute, I'm on like a ledge. I don't know how far up I am, but I went back to try and do it the other day on the Ally, and I got about halfway up this face, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And then I went one more grab, and I completely just washed it. Forgot the pitons, forgot to rest, all this stuff. Straight back down, lost all my progress. I was like, you motherfucker. But even with that setback, I still wanted to carry on playing. It's a great game to chill out with, but also get rather stressed with as you make it up, and you're like, I've got like 5 meters to go, but it looks pretty sketchy from here.
Your biggest enemy in that game is yourself, because there'll be moments where you're like, I can probably do this without a safety net of sorts. And that's immediately and you fool yourself into it. You're just like, yeah, I think I could probably do this section. And it's like, you should never say that.
Always play it safe.
Yeah.
And I like how, like you said, like the mountain is the mountain, isn't it? So you can basically take any route you like, as long as you can climb it. You can go whatever way you like. So seeing some of the different routes other people have taken compared to where I've been. And did you see you can get your route on a t-shirt?
Yeah, I almost did that.
that.
I was so tempted. Because it looks beautiful as well, like all the lines and the drops and all the other stuff. Oh yeah, no, it's great.
Mine would just be red lines left, right, and centre before I make a little bit of progress. But it's a great game. Highly recommended. Like I said, I haven't played anywhere near as much as you have, but it's one that I keep coming back to every now and then when I've got an hour or two, and I think, I just fancy something a bit different. And the game bakers, they can't really seem to go wrong either across the 3 games you mentioned there. So here's to more from them. They've got some DLC coming out at some point as well.
They do free DLC coming out for the game very soon. So I'm looking forward to it.
Win. Nice. All right. Well, that's all of the games that we have been playing this year. All of, our top picks of what we've been enjoying. We're gonna sour the mood a little bit now and just go with some of the wonderful parts of the year, both in terms of the highs of the news and also the perhaps not so highs of the news. AJ, let's start with your end.
Shall I start with something positive?
Yeah, let's start with something positive. What you got there?
Okay, so I reviewed a game called Keyborg or Kyborg. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced, but it's by Sokoban, I think. And it's a roguelite, a 3D brawler where you're kind of running through a bunch of different arenas fighting stuff. And I enjoyed it. It was pretty compelling. I had a good time with it. But I was just like, the forward propulsion is working, but a lot of the mechanics are kind of weak. And they basically released a piece of DLC called The Descent. And the DLC is... Have you ever seen a movie called Kingdom of Heaven by Ridley Scott?
I'm afraid if it's not Jaws or Kevin Smith universe, I'm out.
Okay. Well, anyway, so notoriously, Kingdom of Heaven, there's a original cinematic release by Ridley Scott, and it's awful. It's absolutely awful. Now, I'm not saying Keyborg's on that same level, but there's so much stuff missing, it doesn't make sense. And then they did a director's cut, and the director's cut turns it from a pretty awful movie to a brilliant movie, like an absolutely genuine stone cold classic, and it adds 30 minutes. And in Keyborg, I think they took it from a decent game with a lot of flaws. With this DLC, it feels revelatory. I finished it, I reviewed it, and I was like, all right, it was solid, to I got everything but one achievement in the game because of the DLC and the revisions they've done. And I love to see a developer being able to revisit a game and have the time and the space, which is something that seems to be missing this year for a lot of people, to actually go back and go, we didn't get this completely right, let's fix this. Like everything down to the parry timing seemed off to me when I first played it, but I kind of ignored that and just went, I'm just going to do a completely different build, because that's another joy of Keyboard, is that you can kind of change your build completely. But in this one, I was like, oh, I'm going to parry all the time. The parry feels tight, it feels responsive, it works. So yeah, thumbs up to them.
This DLC, is it just a case of fixing the bugs, fixing the issues, or does it actually add new levels, new missions, what have you?
It does add new levels, because in the original Keyboard, you're going up. And in the Descent, this might be a bit of a surprise to you.
Make sure I'm sitting
going down.
Whoa!
Everything is a lot harder, and you're supposed to have fully beaten the game multiple times over before you start the DLC. But honestly, like, I played the DLC, beat the DLC content, but I just think the improvements that have happened to the base game, this is the version that you should be playing if you're going to play a version. It's great. I went from being like, hey, if you're really into this stuff, you should play it, to unreservedly recommending it as like, this is a solid game that it rises above a lot of other 3D fighters in that regard.
Very, very nice indeed. I think I downloaded like a demo perhaps of it, but I never actually got around to playing it, I don't think so.
Don't play that demo. That demo has not been updated, because I played the demo, I was like, oh, this is alright, and then I played the full game and I was like, yeah, this isn't sustainable. Now the new updates are like, yeah, the arena combat demo that's available is not representative of where the game is right now.
Okay, it might not even still be online. I'm not entirely sure, but I know I downloaded something at one point. But yeah, but I won't add that to the list. And there we go. We've bucked the trend. That one can stay off of the list.
Fair enough
on that one. Nice. So yeah, so let's bring the mood down just a touch, and obviously, as we mentioned at the top of the show, a lot of shitty news, a lot of just awful layoffs and closures and all this stuff. And obviously, Xbox Tavern is Xbox Tavern. We focus on Xbox stuff mainly. We play a lot of PC stuff these days as well. And I just want to get your thoughts on the constant rake stepping, as I put it in my notes, of Xbox. You know, they have a great showcase. They show off things like Fable, Gears, State of Decay, New Senua, etc., etc. Everybody's really high, and then almost immediately they go, aha, but fuck you, let's get rid of everybody and shut down or sell off studios and lay off a load of people. And I'm not going to get too into it again, because far cleverer people have talked about it in terms of the actual business side of it. I'm not a businessman in the slightest, as my bank account can attest to, but it just feels like every time, especially this year since Asher Sharma took over, they've made some sort of progress. They always seem to follow up with something that's a slap in the face, a kick in the dick, and they spit on your way down and go, what did you expect? And I just want to get your thoughts on where they are and how you see the rest of the year playing out for them.
Microsoft has always had a problem with not really understanding what their identity is within the games industry. I've been playing on Xbox since the original Xbox. I played Halo in a 16-player. The first time I ever played an Xbox, I got put a Duke in my hand, and we played 16-player Halo on 4 TVs, 15 other very sweaty men in a very small room.
As was the way it should be.
Yeah. But I was immediately taken. I was like, oh, this is something. But Xbox just don't. I've never really figured out what their identity was. They seem to get lightning in the bottle with a 360. Spoilers: I worked for Microsoft as the Xbox One was being launched, and I could see people around me not understanding what was going on. I had people pitching, saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna have this and this and this," and I was like, "That's not what people want." And they're like, "Yeah, but we're now the industry leaders," which they sort of were. So we're pushing our agenda. And I was like, "Yeah, but it's gonna get rejected," and it'll tie into something that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And so for me, I think Phil Spencer's vision was an attempt to give Microsoft's gaming division, so Xbox, not Microsoft, some sort of identity that aligned with their business interests and the idea that there would be infinite growth forever. And what that reality actually meant is it's not going to happen. They did not conquer the market. They didn't cut a niche for themselves. And I actually don't think this is Asha Sharma's fault at all. I'm sure she's highly motivated. There's a reason that she's in there. But I think she's been hired to be the face that eats shit for the next couple of years. And she'll get paid a shed load of money. And she'll get to walk away, probably walk into some other sweet contract. But really, I don't see this as her vision. I think this is Microsoft's vision. I think this is Satya Nadella at the top saying, this didn't work, now we need to cut and burn. And I mean, I can't say I'm disappointed. Disappointed would be expecting better. And I wrote an article a little while ago where I was like, you guys are teasing firing people. Like everyone understands what you just said. And then they did fire it, loads of people, 1,600 people. And then they did worse than that. They went, we're firing 1,600 people. We're planning to maybe fire another 1,600 people when we've decided what we want. And I'm like, what kind of world is that for the people who work under you that are going to sit in a position of being like, oh, I didn't get cut now, I could get cut later? Like, how do you expect anything to get built out of that? Okay, so to use in a microcosm, I used to manage a team, and I could be quite demanding, but also change my mind. And so there would be moments, and it's one of the things I learned as I got to be a better manager, is to set a vision, course correct if necessary, and learn to apologize. But when I first started off as a manager, I'd be like, do it like this. And then they would do something wrong, go, no, you messed up. And they're like, well, that was our interpretation of what you said. And I was like, well, that's not what I meant. And then it just meant that they spent most of their time second guessing everything that they did. And this to me feels like on a macrocosm, on a major scale, Microsoft are now like, oh, you're going to have to second guess everything that you do for the rest of your career at Microsoft, for how long it might be. And that to me is not how you keep people happy.
No,
or make good games.
It's really not. Like I said, I'm not a businessman. I've managed people across the years, but I'm not someone who I would say is got a head for like the bigger vision, or I'm a worker, not a manager type thing. But to me, this seems incredibly short-sighted, and like you said, I think you're cutting all these people, you're getting rid of these studios, some of which have got games basically ready to go that you've been funding for years, and they're like, don't worry about that, and letting other people are going to make whatever money they're going to make off them. But now you're expecting teams half the size to build games that are going to be bigger than ever, to then create more, like as you said, line go up, number go up, keep the shareholders happy. And that doesn't compute in my head, because how can you build a bigger game, a better game, with half the amount of people, when, like as you said, they're all going to be like, well, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Am I going to get the email with the 8:30 a.m. meeting tomorrow morning where I'm going to be like, oh, well, thanks, cheers, and see you down the road type thing. And
also to look at it, sorry to interject, but also to look at recent examples like Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced or whatever. That game made money, and they still let people go.
Yeah.
It was
was it a launch day as well? Was it? I think.
Yeah.
And same with the Doom DLC. Obviously, they cut that studio by 139 people. I think it was.
Yeah.
On the day that they launched their DLC, I was like, I understand. You know, as games are finished and stuff, and you'll know better than me, but people maybe don't have as vital roles once the game's done until you get the next one up, in progress. But to cut that many people, especially from somewhere like id that's been like this powerhouse of maybe not stellar games, but great games, great tech, and like consistent, and you're like, most of you can go, we don't need you anymore, don't worry about it. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm just a layman, but from the outside looking in, it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely been having worked in a bunch of different games. If you are managing a team well, you know when to start moving certain people off to start working on the next project. And this doesn't feel like it's a team problem, it feels like a mismanagement problem. Where but also, like, again, Fortnite, one of the biggest games in the world. Epic just laid off a bunch of people, and it's like, okay, so you can be one of the biggest games in the world and you're still firing people. You can release a successful game like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you'll still lay people off. Microsoft are now threatening, that's kind of like, it would be better if they were threatening it, but they just seem to be kind of like a bit more blasé about it. Well, another 1,600 jobs might go, and so then what? Like, Obsidian, maybe they release a great Fallout game, another great Fallout game. Microsoft could just lay a bunch of them off on launch day again. Like, it doesn't. There's no rhyme or reason within the industry right now. You release a successful game, you get fired. You release a bad game, you get fired. You release a blockbuster game working on a live action, you get fired anyway. Like, this isn't. It's not sustainable. It's absolutely not sustainable, and it's not logical.
And to go off what you just said there, like Arcane, one of my favourite studios, Dishonored, but Deathloop, they're working on a Marvel game. And granted, it's not Spider-Man, a Marvel game. And now they're like, do we want that money? Nah, don't worry about it. Off you go. Let's see what we can do about that. And like, they've been working on it for years. Granted, there's been rumours of issues with getting it over the finish line. Obviously, it must be somewhat delayed at this point, but surely a Marvel game from Arcane, who are just a fantastic studio, and you're like, nah, we got Halo, it's alright. But have you got Halo? Because, I mean, Infinite was good. I like the campaign, but it kind of died. I
love the campaign.
And obviously you got a Halo campaign Evolved coming out next week, I think it is. But even that's been mired in its own problems, according to stories come out recently of issues with development, and obviously it's got no multiplayer, so it's literally just a campaign, which seems like a mad thing to do for a Halo game. And then obviously focus on Gears, focus on Forza Horizon now, not proper Forza, and Fable next year, which has been delayed to February, I think they said. And then you get rid of Double Fine, you get rid of Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, like I said, and what was the last? Compulsion Games.
Compulsions.
Again, not huge studios that are making blockbusters, but they were bought, I guess, for the idea of padding out Game Pass with sort of consistent little titles or small, oddities or indie type games. And they're like, we spent that money on State of Decay 3. It looks pretty cool. Don't worry about it. Actually, you can sell it for someone else. We'll just move on. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, that's not my world. Maybe there's some numbers somewhere that show that it makes sense. But and then gutting the Elder Scrolls Online, Bethesda Online team. Obviously id, like we said. What was the other one they did? Another one in Bethesda, I'm sure it was, that they cut a load of people from, which seemed madness. Maybe it was the Elder Scrolls Online team as well. But yeah,
it's a ZeniMax. It's a ZeniMax group from
there. Yes. It just doesn't make any sense to the outside. And like you said, it's not Asher Sharma's fault at all, because she's obviously come in after Spencer and what's her name, Sarah Bond, have done what they've done, and perhaps it wasn't even up to them. Maybe it's coming from the higher ups. Who knows? Again, well beyond my pay grade certainly. But the fact that someone like Matt Booty can be like, oh, we need to make all these changes, but he was part of the team that was implementing all these, and he's like, oh, that was a terrible idea. You're partly your idea, you fucking dickhead. yeah, it seems madness. But I still, Xbox is still my preferred way to play. I've got all my friends there, I've got all my games there. I am slowly transitioning more into PC these days with the handheld Ally and desktop and laptop and stuff like that. But I mean, it's not just Xbox either, is it? It's Sony as well. They got a Bungie recently. Obviously, Marathon isn't quite doing what I think they imagined they were going to achieve with. Marathon? Have you played Marathon?
I have not. There's a friend of mine, and I'll probably mention him a little bit more. He does a bunch of writing for game critics, has his own podcast, a guy called CJ. He has been like, you gotta get on the Marathon, man. You gotta get on. And I was like, I do love me some Bungie. He's like, man, you gotta play it. And I was like, maybe I will.
It is a good game.
Have you played it?
Yeah, I reviewed it again for XboxTavern.com. Extraction shooters not my cup of tea at all. Up until Arc Raiders, fucking love Arc Raiders. I don't know why I like it, because again, it's not really my idea of a good time. But I really like playing Arc Raiders. But it's similar to that, but far more hardcore. So there's very little friendly interactions, very little room for
which is interesting, because I had no friendly interactions with Arc Raiders whatsoever. Everyone was just shooting us in the head every single time.
I played some Arc Raiders the other day, and I've met a great bunch of people in there who helped me out, and I helped them out, and we got out. Everybody helped each other out, and we got out together. But yeah, Marathon. There's nothing in that Marathon. I met one guy who tried to be my friend once. He tried to kill me first, and then I fought back, and he was like, whoa, let's team up. And we teamed up for a little bit, and then he died. And there's no way to revive like random people you pick up, random people you meet. So I was like, sorry, shot him in the head, just moved on. But yeah, anyways, it's a good game, but obviously it isn't doing what they want to see. Yeah, no one seems to be immune from this. And as you mentioned, Fortnite and Epic laying off 1,000 people when it's literally making as much money as you could possibly make, really. Although maybe the number wasn't quite going up as fast as they like, which is always the problem with these places. But yeah, so I'd like to see them turn it around. Obviously, again, Asha Jarman's doing what she can, and to a certain degree, as you said, she's more the fall guy, I guess, and she's come in and be like,
she's a figurehead.
Yeah,
she's a figurehead. In the same way that no, I mean, I think we'll see. I mean, I don't want to completely take like all of the power away from whatever she's doing, but at the same time, I do think that there is a directive for what she's doing, and I don't think she's fully to blame for any of this stuff. I think.
She definitely has targets and numbers to meet, and she's doing what she can.
Yeah,
to a degree, again, beyond my pay grade. But I hope to see the news take a turn for the better one day, where they would announce a great game, or even Fable when it finally comes out next February, sorry, and they don't immediately lay off the Playground Games team. As the 9s and 10s are rolling in, hopefully, and they go, really good game. The door's over there. Catch you later.
A friend of mine is actually working on that. He's an old level designer I worked with in Toronto. A really, really nice guy. So I've got my fingers crossed. Well, actually, you're only supposed to do one. Fingers crossed for him on that one.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it looks fucking tremendous. The half-hour demo they did after the showcase looks, right up my street. Yeah. Right, so that's enough downer for this evening. I think I might skip.
I don't know. I think we're going to jump into one downer after this a little bit, but yeah.
maybe at one point. But let's bring it back up a little bit. Much like Resident Evil Requiem, we take the highs with the lows. So
exactly. Good mixtape.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got a few games you wanted to give a shout out to that make that you've sort of gone back to, or have sort of risen to the top based on news over the last few months. So hit me, tell me all about them.
So yeah, like with a lot of the news that's coming in, I've been kind of trying to revisit some older stuff. Well, obviously with Nacon potentially gone, I kind of wanted to revisit a game from last year, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But the first two were Banisher's Ghosts of Eden, which is a Don't Nod game, which feels like Don't Nod are in a lot of trouble right now. I did not like Aphelion at all. I thought it was quite bad. So I was like, I want to play a good Don't Nod game. And Banisher's Ghosts of Eden is brilliant. It's there's a demo available on all major platforms. You will get to the end of that platform, that demo, and I dare you to not get a little bit of a caught in your throat, like maybe some onion, onion in your eyes kind of moment, because it's deeply affecting demo, and if you like the demo, then you absolutely have to play the full game. I can't recommend it strong enough. The combat is pretty solid. It's not stellar, but it has some really interesting ideas, like moving between two characters to fight different versions of ghosts. But just the voice acting is so good. The relationship between the two characters is so good, and like I don't want to spoil too much of it, but the main premise of because they did a game called Vampire before, and in Vampire, what would happen is you develop relationships with characters, and as you develop the relationships with them, they gave you more XP if you killed them. And there would come to certain bosses where you'd be like, this boss is really hard. If I go and munch on a few of these people who I've now developed relationships with, I'll probably be able to beat the boss quite easily. But if you're pretty good at it, you could actually not kill anyone. And it was down to your own personal skill. Whereas in Ghosts, Banishers of Eden, they kind of turned it on its head a lot more, where it's like, actually, these people's stories that you're going to get involved in, you're going to have to kill a bunch of them if you want to get the good ending or the way that you feel about it. It's very good. It's very, very good. I don't want to say too much, but anyone listening to this, go play the demo and see how you feel at the end of the demo, because the rest of the game gets great.
If you're not sure after the demo, you can always read a review by a certain young gentleman on xboxtavern.com who sung its praises as well, I believe.
I believe he's very handsome and intelligent, as I've heard.
And knows a lot about business, definitely. Yeah, no, I didn't expect to like that game at all, because I think one of our old contributors requested it for review. And then when it come around to it, they were unavailable. So I was like, I'll give it a go. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a fucking excellent game. So yeah, I'll second your recommendation.
Yeah. And yeah, the other game is the third game. I'll go back to the first in a bit. The other game is called, I believe, The Last Stand Aftermath. Now, this has had a really interesting life, because I'm pretty sure it started off as like a Flash game, possibly on Newgrounds, and it's a top-down sort of Fallout style view, but it's real. Everything's played in real time, so it's got twin stick kind of controls, and you're infected with a zombie virus, and you're trying to move through in a roguelike sort of style through different nodes, collecting stuff, and essentially beating a storyline about the zombie apocalypse. And every time you die, it's a new person. You can level up certain things. There's some meta progress. But this was recommended to me by a friend, and I kind of went, yeah, I'll try it at some point. And I bought it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and then did not play a single minute of it. And then I just had a little moment of inspiration, and I was like, damn, games have always been good when I played this. And it ruined my life for like 2 weeks, where I obsessively played it like every moment I got. It's got a really good sense of pacing. The tension's great. There's lots of things that I feel are missing a lot in terms of systems. Like, if you fire a gun, it'll probably instantly kill a zombie, but it'll attract every zombie in the area you're in. They start moving in, and it feels like there's a level of escalation like a Metal Gear Solid 5 had, where it's like, oh, there's certain things you can do without stealthing, but as soon as you're out of stealth, it's going to completely change how the game is played. I don't want to go into too much. It's super good. It's also so great to see like a small development team making something so compelling out of something so simplistic. And then there's once you finish the story campaign, there's even more stuff you can do if you want. And I was like, that's a wealth of content for like €15 or whatever it is. It's impressive.
Is it single player only, this one? Because
single player only.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of trailer. I thought it looks really cool, actually. And I've just added it to my wish list on Steam. Keep the trend going. Yeah, it looks really cool. Yeah, it's something I would like to get to, I think, because and in terms of the end game content, like you said, is it something you can play over and over again, or is it like a new set of linear missions type thing?
It over and over again. So basically, a lot of the end game content is like, oh, so you played the mission with the default difficulty. Now let's enjoy everything way harder and way more interesting. But we'll pepper it with more story elements so that it feels like you're progressing naturally through some of the stuff. But I mean, the main storyline took me 2 weeks. I don't know how long that is, but there was a couple of like, oh god, it's 3 a.m. and I have to go to work in 3 hours moments with that game. So yeah, it's
nice.
it's a solid campaign.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it looks really cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, added to the wish list, and it can go in the Steam library of Doom at some point. Hopefully, it won't take me quite as long to get to it, but you never know. And
the final one I did want to talk about is a game I meant to play last year. Again, it's published by Nacon. It's made by a Montreal team, and it's called Hell Is Us. And Hell Is Us was really poorly marketed last year. They kind of made it look like it was a Dark Souls game set in a weird war-torn area. And this also ties in slightly because, again, I was in Poland, and a person I worked with was like, "You got to play Hell Is Us," and I was like, "Pitch it to me," and he was like, "Okay." It's got a wild storyline. And I was like, okay, cool. So I sat down, it was on sale. I was like, I'll try it out. It is not a Dark Souls game at all. A lot of the mechanics that are built around a Dark Souls game is if you go to a bonfire, it resets everyone. And then the risk reward of going to a new save point is that you're going to have to fight everything that you've gone through or go back and redress. This game, on the default setting, when you kill an enemy, as long as you're in that biome, it stays dead permanently. And later on, you unlock mechanics which allow you to keep everyone dead in a biome. Whenever you leave the biome and come back, they'll just stay dead. So there are like points where you're able to fully explore an area with no threats at all. There's a whole bunch of like the way that the game plays where you can like regenerate health really, really easily, and like they've thought of all these ideas to make the game very, very accessible. So you can turn up the difficulty and turn it into Dark Souls if you want, but you do not have to play that way, and that is not the main pull of the game. The main pull of the game is it's gorgeous. It looks incredible. The level designer and the tech artists that worked on this have created some of the most beautiful areas I've ever seen. The very first place you're in a marsh, and you're wandering around and being like, wow, this is very gloomy. The music is fully, like, the vibes are off the charts in terms of this desperation. And then there are like later on places where you're in a war-torn zone, everything is like red fog and it's oppressive and depressing. And the thing that the game kind of falls apart on, and I'm going to shit on it for this now, is it's actually kind of an adventure game. There are so much stuff littered throughout the game where you're supposed to be reading these parchments and doing these other things, and I'm a perennial like skip through all of this, just don't pay any attention to this, don't listen to audio logs. If you do not listen to the audio logs and you do not read all of the stuff, you're going to miss how to do anything in this game. There are so many puzzles, tons of puzzles that involve reading and rereading all of this stuff. And they're hard. I brute forced a few puzzles because I was like, I'm not going to go back and read any of this stuff, and I got through it. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating game. I can see why it didn't hit with anyone, and I will say that I'm not happy where the story is going a little bit, but it is a very compelling story. It's essentially there's two sides in this war-torn area: the Palomists and Sabinans, I think they're called. And they've had a centuries-long conflict between the two of them, and they've been killing each other for as long as you can possibly imagine. There's also the ON forces, which are the UN forces, that are there as peacekeepers, who have also been doing bad shit. I have a real problem with a game that is like, let's draw parallels between the conflict in Bosnia, is the closest parallel that I can draw with it, where they're like, hey, a bunch of people got massacred by one side, And then the game goes, so we're going to draw parallels with that. But what if the side that's massacring all these people had a really good reason, because the people that they massacred all have magic genocide powers? And I was like,
I mean, that's one way of one way of getting into war and conflict, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's still very good, and it's incredibly deep. Like, it looks gorgeous. Like, every single time, I just keep wanting to take screenshots of how beautiful this game looks. I definitely think people should play it. The story maybe doesn't pull out, but again, Nacon made some really interesting bets with Styx, which I've already mentioned earlier, and Hell Is Us, and a bunch of the others. And I think more people should play them. But
so
yeah.
I think Hell Is Us was quite. It didn't get necessarily high reviews, did it? But it got sort of fairly positive reviews, I think, for the most part. But I remember listening to people talking about it, and they were saying, like you just mentioned, it's one that's got no like objective markers or tooltips or hints. It's literally like you have to pay attention. Maybe you have a notepad to hand to follow along.
Yes.
And instantly I was like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, probably would have been right up my street. Now, I haven't got the time or the patience for something like that, no matter how good it may be.
I wouldn't have stuck with this game if the fact that my partner is enjoying watching me play. Like, I'm sitting down and playing, and she's like, I just really enjoy watching you run through these areas. Like, it's compelling. But yeah, but I don't blame you. Yeah. Also, Jamie, I don't know if you'd know about this, but there's a thing called the internet. And so...
Where can I get hold of this internet?
Yeah, it's the World Wide Web. They will have all the solutions for all the puzzles if you really can't be bothered. I'd still think it'd be worth going through.
Yeah, I try to avoid guides as best I can. I appreciate guides, and I've definitely used guides at various points, but for the most part, I like to try and avoid them.
Yeah.
To tell you what, tying it back to Resident Evil, the very first Resident Evil I played through fully, was the very original one. And I had no idea what I was doing, so I followed the official Sega Saturn magazine guide from start to finish. And when I got to the end, I was like, that was a great game. I really wish I hadn't played the guide to do it, though. I wish I'd just figured it out myself. So since then, I've always tried to avoid them as best as possible. But maybe. Again, there's too many games to play. I haven't got enough things to play. I haven't got enough time, to play what I know I'm going to play, let alone adding more to the list. Although this podcast already had about 6 games to my list I've got to get to. So, but as long as you're enjoying it, and obviously your partner's enjoying watching it, do you think you're going to progress and see it to its conclusion? Or
definitely going to finish it. Definitely. I am so deep into it. But just before this podcast, I actually kept having to push the Xbox button to go, like, what time is it? I know I'm supposed to be doing a podcast with Jamie. Let's just do another couple of monsters before I get to it. And it's every area I get to, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, how much work went. These people are incredibly talented. They have created, there's a moment very early on-ish. That's a bunch of caveats. But no, that you're walking through this area, and you walk out, and the whole of this vista is covered in blue flowers, and you run through the blue flowers to get to this new next puzzle, and it's so fantastically designed in a way that it feels like you're walking through nature, but someone had to sit down and design all of that and build it and have this vision. And it's just like, yeah, you guys are, I feel like you guys studied nature in a way that I feel like it's going to become a lost art. Unfortunately, it's breathtaking in so many moments.
Very nice. Well, I mean, you are selling me on it, but yeah, maybe by the time we come back and chat for our half year next year, I might have got around to looking at it perhaps. But yeah, very nice indeed. I'll tell you what, I've got another positive one to go with, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. Speaking of games that try to turn sort of real world problems and concerns into something a bit more entertaining and trying to keep the message, Tides of Tomorrow. Have you played Tides of Tomorrow?
No, I haven't. Tell me about this. It looked so good.
Yes. So it's a sort of single player, well, a single player, I'll put it in air quotes for now, like story adventure. And you basically play way in the future, and you play what's called a tide walker, and basically it's someone who's been put in suspended animation underwater. They wake up, the world's gone to shit, the tides of the oceans have risen, there's no land, there's very few like settlements left, and the ocean is full of plastic, and all the humans that remain alive are affected by this thing called plastemia, which is basically like the microplastics which we hear about getting in us every day now, to the next degree. So it's basically like a cancer, and it kills people very slowly, and you can see it on them. They slowly turn into plastic effectively. They're all like it's very pretty, like they're very colourful and rainbow colours, but they are basically dying in front of your eyes. And the concept is you're trying to find a cure for this plastemia, trying to find a way to live, because there's raiders, there's scavengers, there's hunters, all this sort of stuff, and like a post-apocalyptic world, everybody's out for themselves, so you're trying to keep the people alive that you like, and find the middle ground with other groups and trade and barter and stuff like that. And the general gameplay is you go to these areas, they're only small contained areas, but there's people to talk to, sort of side missions to do, but the main hook of the game is that you're following previous tide walkers that have come before you. So when you first wake up, you see them, there's hundreds all around you, and they wake up one at a time to try and solve this plastemia problem. And you can pick from anyone who's played the game. So I picked a guy called Nestorian, who I don't know if it's just a random Xbox player or PC player or a streamer, I've no idea, but you can put in specific seeds. So you could follow my gameplay, or you can follow your favorite streamer, or just anyone you like basically. And so when you get to an area, you'll be presented with dialogue choices and moral choices and gameplay choices, and depending on what the person that you're following has done, it'll affect your gameplay. So a very basic example is there was a factory I was trying to get through. The obvious route was to go up and along the rafters, but the ladder was broken, and when you get there it says the previous Tidewalker and Historian used this ladder, and when they did, it broke, so you can no longer use it. However, you can fix it using some of the in-game currency, so that the person who follows you will be able to use it, but it'll still be out of action for you for now. And so you've got to make those sort of choices, not just for yourself, but for people who come after, much like for those who come after. And there's lots more directly affecting ones. So you have this limited supply of, I forget the name of it now. It's basically the medicine for plastemia until they can figure out a cure. And you have 7 canisters on you, and you use 2 every day. And you find more, and you can buy more, stuff like that. But you can choose to leave these to help the people behind you, or you can keep them for yourself to make sure that you can get through. And there's one mission where you get to hand them out, and you can either hand them out to the people they ask you to, or keep them for yourself and say you've handed them out. And it's those sort of moral grey areas where there's no right or wrong. It's just what you want to do, and again, knowing how it's going to affect the people who come behind you, and the people who come behind them, and so on and so forth. And it plays very similar to something like Dishonored. So it's not like super stealthy, but the way it controls, the way it looks, and the way it feels is very much like that. So you're exploring these areas. You can do a bit of climbing and a bit of sneaking around and stuff, and it's very light combat. But the bulk of it is finding these characters, talking to them, and just making these moral choices on whether you help these people do this, or whether you side with the bandits and stash stuff for yourself, etc.
Can you only follow people who finish the game, or could you overtake someone? You
can overtake them. So at any point, each level, each time you choose a level to go out to, you either can carry on following the person you're following, or switch it up to someone else, because everybody's got different stats associated with them. So if you have chosen to help the animals, for example, free the whales and save fish and all this sort of stuff, you'll get like a nature badge. And then so when you follow that person, it'll be more of a naturist route, so people will be more inclined to help animals and to be more like nature orientated. Whereas if you follow someone who has helped the humans, nature might suffer, but the humans will be in a better spot to offer you better rewards, or to, you know, there'll be more humans to talk to you, etc., etc. And it's I think it's got a bit of grand ambitions beyond what it can actually achieve. It doesn't quite, like, it's like a AA game. It's not going to be something you can play for thousands of hours and see all these different permutations, but it's interesting enough to offer different aspects where it does get you thinking, should I really, like, again, there's one mission we have to save a whale, like this particular species of whale that are hunted for their eggs, which then cure or make the medicine for plastemia, and you can choose to save them and help your friend, or leave them there and risk pissing her off and then being excluded from that sort of faction, as it were, for a bit. And yeah, it wraps it all up in, like I said, you know, the current climate crisis and, you know, global warming and the plastics in the ocean and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't like beat you around the head with, you know, global warming, bad. It's showing you their interpretation of, you know, far flung in the future, but what could be, you know, for generations down the road. And yeah, it's just a really enjoyable game. Really gets you thinking about it, and also again offers more than just a story to follow. You're sort of directly affecting what you see and the outcome for, again, those that come after.
Oh, dude, I hate you because I think it's going on I think because I saw it. I loved the art style. They did a kind of comedy trailer for it, and I was like, wow, how does this even work? But what you're describing, I just love a new mechanic. Do you know what I mean? Like an interesting, weird new mechanic. Because it sounds like what they've done is like almost. Do you know whenever you played a Don't Nod game, to call back a Don't Nod game like Life is Strange, you'd be like, 30% people chose the choice that you chose, and 30% didn't, and then, you know, the other 60%, or that's not actual real numbers, 40% of the people then did this, and you're like, okay, that's really interesting, but whatever. You're saying that people make choices and then that actually impacts that's so cool.
Yeah, and again, it could be something as small as a door being locked to something as big as when you enter an area because the previous person pissed off the like the ruler of that area. There's more guards that are on higher alert looking out for you, so it's going to be harder to get through, or they won't even entertain the idea of talking to you, or, you know, they won't offer the goods that you would need or offer a password you would need, and then it's up to you to either try and fix it for the person behind you or fix it for yourself and, you know, sod the person behind you again, because and they're constantly saying, like, this will affect those that follow you. Do you want to be selfish, or do you want to help them, or do you want to, how do you want to play this? And it's entirely up to you, and there's no wrong answer. You just keep going, and I'd be fascinated to see someone follow my playthrough, because I don't know if anyone has, obviously, because there's no way to contact anyone, but and then just, you know, so if you followed me and then someone followed you, and then, you know, Graham followed you, and then Ian followed Graham, and it'd just be interesting to see how different it got, you know, like Chinese Whispers. By the time we got to the last person, what their version of events was compared to what I had and what you had, and blah blah blah.
So this is going to be a slight detour, but I'm promising you now that I will, by the end of the year, give you some feedback on your playthrough in this game. Tidelands?
Tides of Tomorrow.
Tides of Tomorrow. So I am going to follow your playthrough. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Well, when you play, let me know. I'll give you my seed, and you can play from there.
Oh, hell yes, definitely. But what it reminds me of is, so do you remember the original Dead Rising?
Yes.
There's a person who Tides of Tomorrow, I'd love to follow his playthrough. There's a guy I worked with, and so I was like, I'm really enjoying Dead Rising, and he's like, I think it's very good. I was like, oh, really? Why not? And he's like, game's very easy. And I was like, oh, how's it easy? He's like, well, did you know that the best way to play Dead Rising is you grab any civilians that you're supposed to rescue, and you take them by the hand, and you walk them straight into the middle of the zombies. You leave them, and you just take a photo of them dying, and you get tons of XP. And I was like, if a zombie apocalypse ever happens, you are the last person I'm going to hang out with. And I, as you were telling me about this Ties of Tomorrow, I was like, I would love to see how this guy makes choices in video games. I'd love to follow his playthrough, because he will be the most brutal mercenary that I've ever encountered. He made me aware of the fact that, like, some people indulge in the story and some people indulge in the mechanics.
Yeah.
And that man is like, I min-maxed everything. I murdered every single person in Dead Rising to get the best XP, because it's the quickest way to level up. And I'm like, I don't...
Not in the spirit of the game, but I understand it. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to follow your Ties of Tomorrow play, and then follow this guy's Ties of Tomorrow of just like, oh, well, the obvious choice is to fuck everyone over every time I play through.
Exactly. And I've switched it up every now and then from listening to story and guide, and the other people I followed have fucked everyone over, so I've always gone back to him because he seems pretty much in line with how I would play it. But
okay.
It's interesting, and it's just. I just wanted to shout it out because it's something. It's not the best game in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something different, in this landscape where it's getting harder and harder to find something that sort of stands out. And even if it doesn't quite nail it, it still is trying something a bit more unique. And that is what Ties of Tomorrow does. I really enjoyed playing it so far, and highly recommended. Again, you can read a review on xboxtavern.com as well. That's wonderful. Why not? Right. So
we had one last topic. I don't know if you have time. Do you have time to talk about it? But I have some thoughts.
I am I'm here for as long as you need me. So go for it.
Okay. So we were talking about the ups and downs, and we wanted to talk about Sony's announcement of the discless future.
So. Discless future. AJ, before we get into disclessness, tell me, are you a disc player? I know obviously we play a lot of digital games that we get for xboxtavern.com, etc. But in your day-to-day, is there any set time where you would either prefer or you just do pick up discs over digital, especially in the last 10 years, say?
So I'm not a disc player. I've probably bought 5 disc games. Apart from Nintendo Switch, I've bought physical media maybe 5 times in the last 16 years. Just before the Xbox One was announced and before I knew anything about it, I made a incredibly bold claim, which was that physical media was on its way out. So that would have been about 2010, 2011, I think I said, something like that. And I was like, I think physical media's out. I don't know if I thought that was good or bad. What about you? Do you buy a lot of physical media or not?
Well, I don't. Again, partly because I get a lot of games through xboxtavern.com for reviews. You can go read them right now. But partly because Xbox, I can't remember last time I bought a physical Xbox game. But when I buy a PlayStation 5 game or something on PlayStation, something on Switch, I always prefer to buy physical because I like to have it on my shelf as just like, because they're the rarities. They're like the real big games that I'm excited about that I'm buying on there, like Zelda, like Last of Us, Uncharted, stuff like that. I like to have them on my shelf. Partly because a few of my friends, we do the same. We buy them and then we share them around with each other. So Last of Us, for example, I bought that launch day. I was super excited. I lent it to Pete. I lent it to Ian. I think I lent it to someone else as well. And then the same thing, they bought games and they've we share them around type thing. Same with Zelda and Mario and stuff like that. And again, the reason I like them is because they were the ones that they weren't just, I'll just pick this up. This was something I was super excited to buy. And something I wanted to have on disc to share and to keep for the future. And ironically, the next game I was planning on buying physically was Grand Theft Auto 6 because I thought, again, it's something I've been looking forward to for 13 years. I've got the collector's editions of 4, 5. I bought, the old the 3D era 3 I set in San Andreas physically several times, and I just thought it'd be a nice one to have as a one-off type thing. Collector's edition, maps, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, that's not what they're doing, so digital is, because there's no point in fucking buying a code in a box. But this obviously got kicked into gear with GTA 6, and then Sony recently said, was it January 2028? They're going to stop physical production of all discs for PlayStation consoles, not just their own, just discs in general. The only ones they'll be producing are games that were made before that they're filling up a backlog. Any new games will not be getting physical discs. And obviously this has kicked off a hailstorm of rage and outrage online, which, to be honest, it's caught me a little bit off guard, if I'm perfectly honest, because I know obviously there were still people out there looking for physical ones, again, like myself, but people who buy it more regularly, people who that's the only way they play. But it seems to have really struck a nerve with a lot of people, and I mean, fair enough to them. I understand the rage. There's people saying, "I'll never play a PlayStation again," which I'll believe it when I see it. But I wonder if they've pulled a Xbox One with this, where as you were saying, Microsoft was, and Xbox were like, we're going to do all these TV and all this stuff, and no, that's not what we want from this. We want a good games machine with good games. Sony have now gone, you can have a games machine which is going to cost you fucking umpteen £1 million, but also you're going to be restricted to digital, which means you have to buy from us. And they're announcing this just as they announced the closure of the PS3 and Vita stores, and removing, was it 500 movies from people's libraries that they'd purchased at the same time.
That. Oh my god,
does not set a good precedent for this all digital future, which again, like you, like me, we're all as guilty as our digital will be fine, but we don't really sort of read the EULAs. We don't think about the ownership and stuff, which we don't really own anything on console, certainly, at least. And now they're removing the movies, they're shutting the stores down, and then they're like, the only way to buy games is these ways we've just completely fucked people over with. So what is your opinion on that part, and what do you think there could be a solution in terms of ownership, in terms of add-on disc drives or one-off releases? I don't know. Hit me, tell me.
So I kind of been giving it a lot of thought, because my relationship with physical media has actually kind of been more as like moments of giving presents to people and being like, hey, or receiving presents. Like, so for example, one job I worked at, as a joke, they gave me a copy of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 because I hated that game. And they were like, here you go, here's a boxed copy, retail copy of Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I still own. It's over on a shelf somewhere, and it is a moment I treasure. Like, even though it's an Xbox One game that probably is essentially just a validation code on a disc, it's nice to have that box copy, because I look at it and go, I remember working with those guys. They were awesome to work with. Loved every minute of it. It was great. And it basically, it's a warm feeling inside of sorts. And I think people underestimate how much a lot of physical media is that. I don't know if you're the same, but I mean, I have a bookshelf. Some books I haven't read in like 10 years. But I look at that book and go, I remember reading that book. That was a sweet book. I was in that moment and that time. Or, I have a copy of Douglas Copen's Generation X, and it's got a note inside from a friend of mine saying, I love this book, have this book, you should read this book, it's dope as hell. And I still have it, and I'm just like, I haven't read the book. I haven't read the book in almost 20 years, but there's so much of looking at it and like being like, this is a thing that's important to me, that I think people underestimate. And I think that's maybe where some of this like aggressive, like, hey, fuck you, comes from. It's not about the the fact that the ownership is gone. It's the fact that it's harder to develop memories and have, like, you were talking about the collector's editions and all that other stuff. That is actually super important. I remember I worked with this woman, Vera, and she was so excited about Elder Scrolls, and she spent 160 quid getting the dragon the dragon statue and everything else to go with it. And to her, it was super important to have like this thing that she could be like, this is a moment of stuff. And so I understand all of that, and I think the thing that we actually are kind of ignoring completely is the impact on the ability to access this stuff. So I'm going to call out CJ again. CJ works in a library in Florida, and there are a lot of poor kids who come into the library and rent games from their library and physical copies because they cannot afford $60, but they can come to the library and get a free copy of the game that they can take out for a week or 2 weeks or whatever and play the game. And they're getting to have experiences that exist throughout. And this shutting down on physical media, because I mean, even Xbox One, if you think about an Xbox Series X, even though that disc is just a validation code, that validation code works with every profile, right? You can still go and rent a game out and play it, and it's still valid, even if you have to download it. And that's the thing that we're not thinking about, is the money and the exposure that certain people got. I remember having an argument with this guy, Tomasz, about oh god, it's 13 years ago. And he was like, I'm all for piracy. And I was like, fuck piracy. I hate piracy. And he's like, well, piracy is important because there are people who just genuinely cannot afford the prices that exist right now. And are you saying that they shouldn't be exposed to art? They shouldn't get the amazing ability of seeing and being able to comment on these things? And I was like, yeah, I'm wrong. Well, no, actually, I didn't say that to him. I said, you are right for those people, but you, Tomasz, have a shitload of money. You can afford to buy your own stuff. You should be buying this stuff so other people can pirate it.
Yeah.
Like that people should be allowed to pirate. Like, the idea that we're going to keep art, whatever it might be, movies, music, whatever, exclusively to those that can afford it, is creating an us and them scenario that is unfair. Completely unfair. And then when people have come up with legal ways of doing it, i.e. a library supplying physical copies so that people can experience this stuff, and people are like, no, we don't want that either, that is fundamentally a threat to people's ability to be literate in any sort of way. And yeah, it's disgusting. It's gross. I can look at it from my own perspective. I own maybe five games total in physical copies, other than Switch games, which I've got Deadly Premonition 2 and a few other things. I've got the Snow Brothers collection, which I love Snow Brothers. Have you ever played Snow Brothers?
No, I can't say I even heard of it, if I'm honest.
Okay, it's a Bubble Bowl ripoff, but it's actually dope as hell. It's very, very good. But I'm not going to get into it. But I see that's half my point, I guess, is like, here's this weird, obscure thing that we've never heard of, but I attach a value to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what Sony and Microsoft and lesser extent the Nintendo, obviously, because they're still doing physical stuff, is reducing the ability of people to experience these things. And it will come for us as well, because I mean, I'm fundamentally middle class, but the more that they crank up these prices, like you said, how many bajillions of pounds is a PlayStation 6 going to cost? How much is Project Helix going to cost? When do we get priced out of the market? When are we not allowed to engage with the media that we love? And at what point do we have to start going, well, if not by legal, then illegal? But when do we start sailing the seas as Yar Mihatis kind of thing? Like, and I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah, it smacks of greed to start with, like you said, because now the only way to buy a game, although they've said they'll put the cards in Walmart I mean, realistically, most people are going to be going digital and off or straight up to PlayStation Store, so instantly win for them. Like you said, there's no sharing games other than various means and game sharing and stuff that you can do, but not as. It's not like that Last of Us example. I shared it with like 3 or 4 people. Now I might be able to share it with one, maybe, if they keep the current system up that they've got, which I'm sure they'll aim to plug at some point. And as you said, like when I was a kid, I would get games for birthday, Christmas, stuff like that. But I can't imagine my grandparents, my parents, being like, I want to get him this. I want to get him the new Fable. How do I do that? Well, you have to go into buy into the Microsoft store and buy a gift card, and then you have to send them. I was like, they're not going to bother with that. They're just going to be like, here's 50 quid, do what you want with it. And it's not quite as, you appreciate it, but it's not quite that memory making moment, is it? Like, I got this game for Christmas. I got 50 quid for Christmas, and then I went and bought a game. It doesn't make the same impact, I don't think. And again, like you said, you've got 5 games there. I've got a handful of games, like I said, for PS5, and it's about attaching those memories to it and having something. I mean, my kids aren't going to care. I've got thousands of games. I've said that I've got. I can tell you, I've got rid of in my life exactly 5 video games over the course of my life. I still have every game I've ever bought or been given or what have you over the years. And like you said with the book, I walk past them. They're in a bedroom. They're not. I need to find a proper shelf for them because they're a bit haphazard at the minute. But I walk past them and I look at them, and it just triggers the. Yeah, I remember playing that, or I remember getting that, or I remember playing that with my friends, or I remember playing this with my brother, or what have you. And that's going to be gone now because, yeah, you've got the list of digital games on your screen, but that's like scrolling through Netflix, isn't it? Like, I watched, what did I watch in there recently? Thrash. You seen that film on Netflix?
I've been meaning to watch it. It's got Jaimin Hansu in it, doesn't it? Have the guy from Amistad and stuff. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
going too deep.
But I'll take your word for that. But it's a terribly cheesy shark film.
Yeah.
Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. Will I ever think about it again? Probably not. But like Jaws is my favourite film, and I still remember getting given that on VHS. Kids, ask your parents. And I don't have it anymore because I don't. Well, I've no idea if I've got a VHS player somewhere. But the point is, that was a core memory of getting that thing given to me rather than just here's a code or here's a bit of money or what have you. And then again, for preservation, I can hand my kids, again, they won't care in the slightest, they'll just throw them in a bin, but I can hand my kids when I die all of the games I've collected over the last 30, 40 years. And to a certain point, they might have some reminiscent memories attached to a few of them we've played, but most of them will just be rubbish. But my library, when I die, or when Sony dies, or when Xbox dies, it's just going to be gone. And that will be it. All the money we spent completely disappeared. No way to access anything. Expedition 33, one of my favourite games of the last few years ever, really. I've got that digitally. What's to stop in 20 years from now I'll go to play it and like, actually your license is expired or the game's no longer available or what have you, and then it's just disappeared forever. I know there's physical ways to get that game at the moment, but I don't. It doesn't directly affect me, again, because I don't buy that many physical games, but it is a bad precedent, I think, to set for when we get to PS6 and Helix, where they say, again, you can only buy from us. We might put it on sale every now and then. And as you said, people who can't afford to even be in the same room as a console are just going to be completely out of luck to even try these things, because how many of the great designers of today started playing games when they were kids? If the next generation of kids can't afford to play or can't have access to play, who's going to then build the games after that? And who's going to, you're going to have a diminishing return of people who know what games are, who are able to play them, who are able to afford them, and who are able to figure out how to make them themselves. And then you're going to be layoffs again. you're going to lay off all the people who know how to do it, and then you're not going to have anyone to replace them down the line. Maybe that's a bit of a doom and gloom appeal to it, but it's just something that popped into my head. So,
well, can I say something?
By all means,
marginally positive.
Please, we need to improve the mood here.
So, I read in The Verge today, literally today, 16.3 million CDs were sold in the US this year, which is an increase of 16% on last year. So physical media is increasing in sales on CD, which is also like not the weirdo one. Like I'm getting really into vinyl. I'm not gonna lie. I've gotten really super hard. It's one of those things. Every time I go to a gig, I buy vinyl from people, or I bought one cassette tape. I was in Copenhagen and bought a cassette tape from someone, and I was like, I'm never gonna listen to this. I've got no way to listen to this.
How the hell did you get a cassette tape? How the hell did they make a cassette tape?
There's one place in South America that still makes cassette tapes, so you can still, yeah. So there is some positive, which I think is actually the problem that the games industry is having right now. Is less Nintendo, because Nintendo still do realize that people love physical media, but the idea that CDs are, well, I mean, at least in the US, surging sort of is I think an indication of like where people are at with a lot of stuff. They want you. I think you're wrong in one way. Maybe your kids are not going to give a shit about every game that you've ever had, but I bet you there'll be a few that'll be like, yo, my dad loved this game. I need to keep this. I don't want to get too emotional, but like, my uncle got cancer when I was probably in my 20s, and he ended up dying. But before he died, we all sat around, and there was me and all my cousins, and they gave each of the cousins a toy car, as like, hey, this is a moment that still is happening. I still have that toy car. I have it out on my thing, and I've kept it as like, hey, this is a little significant moment. And I think, don't want to project too much onto your kids, but I bet you there'll be a couple of things your kids are like, yo, this copy of Jazz Jackrabbit on PS1 reminds me of my dad. Oh.
I was going to offer a game suggestion, but I just wanted to see what you come up with.
Go. What would you suggest?
It's absolutely going to have to be Panzer Dragoon Saga on the Sega Saturn. Fucking.
Well, that was actually going to be my second choice.
I treasure that box and those discs. I said to my wife many years ago, I said, when I die, I'm going to be buried with that.
Bury me.
But then I'm like, I can't take it away because there's not many copies left. So maybe I should keep it and share it around. I love that game. That'd definitely be the main one. I think the main physical one. It's just. I mean, times change, and the other thing is obviously, like you said about the CD, the active keys. Obviously, they only access the download, but something like GTA, how many discs is that going to take if you would just put the actual game on there? Probably 2, 3, 4 at this point. Maybe it's not feasible. I don't know. It's not expensive to make a disc, as far as I understand, but I think it's still short-sighted to be like, we've just bin it all off. We don't need it anymore. Let everybody just come digital, and then if we decide down the line, actually, you don't get to play these games anymore.
Yeah,
fuck it, basically. And then that's the main concern. I think
some companies need to get sued more. That's the problem. So, for example, Microsoft binned their TV and movies app. But Microsoft have been sued so many times for this shit that you can still access your entire library of movies, even though they've binned it. When they collapsed their music app, which I never used, they did say, hey, if you've bought any of this music, you will be able to download it DRM, digital rights management free, so you own it. And it's because Microsoft was so successfully sued in the 90s and 2000s that Microsoft were like, we're never getting sued like this again. And the thing that Sony just did with this Studio Canal thing where they took 500 movies off, they need to get sued. And then Sony need to like get hurt properly by this so that they can't do this. And Microsoft need to constantly still have this threat. So I can still access those movies that I've paid for, and I've probably spent hundreds of dollars of stuff on this. But I fully expect at some point I'm going to lose access to all of that stuff. But I expect Microsoft to allow me to download every single one of those movies and store them somewhere else on a hard drive.
Yeah.
But there needs to be that threat. We need the customer protection that needs to happen. Now, so I think you're right. Again, to try and be positive. But the truth is, we need people to be like, hey, no, absolutely not. No, you're not allowed to just take the stuff away from us. You need to give us options.
Yeah, and I think somewhat naively has been in the back of my mind probably this entire time of buying digital games and digital movies and stuff. Like, if they ever shut it down, they'll offer a way to, keep hold of it, like you said, download it, or pop it a hard drive, or just make it available for download in perpetuity. But obviously that's not the case, because we've just literally seen it happen where they're like, well, you paid us X amount of money for how many of these films you bought, and now that's just gone kaput. There's no, I'm not saying they should offer refunds, but there's no way of honouring that sale. They're just like, we're taking your money, and then wait till you take back to and go, and run off, and just like, it's gone. I don't know how many people it affects. It doesn't matter if it affects one, or it affects a million. It's a shitty practice to do, and not a good precedent again to set. Then days later go, and by the way, all your games will be digital from now on as well. Cheers, bye, and just disappear off the face of the earth until they tweet about some fucking fight stick or something, and just get absolutely bodied in the comments of people going, I'm not buying it. Even Domino's was getting in it. Did you see the Domino's ones?
No, I didn't. What's that one?
They were in the replies to the fight stick one, they were putting up like coming soon to Domino's, digital only pizzas for $9.99. The physical pizzas are a thing of the past. Just proper getting into it. Yeah,
I love to see it.
Yeah, it's been quite funny watching people shit on them, but at the same time, it's a shitty thing that they need to buck their ideas up. Either change the digital license so that you do own the game. And I understand why they don't want to do that initially, because then people can share it around, blah blah blah. But there must be a way of offering a digital license that lets you keep it regardless of their licenses. Something's got to be done about it. There must, again, I'm not a businessman in the slightest, but someone somewhere has got to figure something out along those lines.
Agreed.
Yeah, it just seems madness. And another thought popped into my head just then, but it's just completely whiffed and gone. And I don't no idea what I was about to say. It was something, I'm sure, very hilarious and insightful, but
I'll yes and what you're saying. I think it's incredibly short-sighted for the way in which people have idolized Nintendo and Sony and all of those things. So the thing that you just described earlier, where you're like, hey, I lent this game to like 3 or 4 other people. You allowed memories to be created amongst your friends about things that you felt significant and impactful. The idea that you're going to take that away is literally trying to go against the way in which mimetic experiences exist. So could you imagine you showed a meme to someone and someone was like, oh, that's amazing. And then someone went, no, you can't show that meme to anyone else unless they pay for it. No experiences become interesting or viral or compelling because there's no way to share anything. And then essentially what Sony are doing is like, we don't care that our evangelists or the people who are excited about our games are able to make our games the cultural impact that they are. And yeah, it's bullshit. It's just, you don't understand how humans work. And yeah, we need to figure out ways to make sure that people can be like, I had an emotional impact with The Last of Us, but also it's my mate Jamie who lent me the game. I didn't actually pay for it. But now I'm super excited about The Last of Us 2, and because of his ability to tell me how good it is, I will be forking out and paying money for it.
Yeah.
Have you watched Widow's Bay?
No.
Okay. Widow's Bay is a TV show that's I'll be super quick with this one. Widow's Bay is a TV show. It's really, really fascinating, but actually it's one of the few TV shows that actually its viewership has increased over time. Because normally what happens is you have a big viewer on the first episode, and then it just gradually goes down because people don't keep up with it. But actually it's had the inverse thing, and it's because people have been sharing it so much and sharing moments within it that people are jumping in and increasing the viewership on it. That's because you allow people to share those moments, allow that mimetic moment of like experience of stuff, and to block physical media means that it makes it harder for a game to be a hit after its sequel, because you can't get people excited to buy the next one, right? Because everyone has to buy their own copy. Yeah, it's stupid.
It's yeah, like it's just like I said, it's greedy, and yeah, it just goes against, again, in an ideal world, my idealistic view of it is I've grown up with games and sharing them with people and talking to people about them, and now I'm gonna, like you just said, I'm gonna buy a game. This is really good. You should play it. Can I borrow it? Nah. You got 70 quid spare, haven't you? Or 80 quid or 90 quid or 100 or however much it's going to end up being, you know, as we go forward. I do have one small anecdote, I guess, to go with the alternate route that you mentioned earlier on, sailing the high seas. May or may not have recently sailed, just out of interest. That, you know, a certain game caught my eye from many years ago, or several years ago, that I just fancied. I never got around to checking it out, and I went to see if I could buy it. Not available anymore at all. So okay, so I ended up a bit of research. May or not have found it lying down the back of the sofa. Had a great time playing it. I was really enjoying it. So I ended up talking to my friends about it, and I shared, you know, the steps to go about finding hold of it, and they also enjoyed it. And
borrowing it off the internet, I heard.
They borrowed it off of the internet. Yeah, the everyone's friend, the internet.
Yeah.
And that, again, it's digital only, obviously, for various reasons. But that is probably going to be more of a. I really enjoyed Last of Us Part 3 whenever it comes out. Have you got 80 quid? No? Well, if you just go on the internet, you might be able to borrow it from there. And then they're just going to shoot themselves in the foot, because more and more people will be like, oh, fuck that, I can't afford that, but I really want to play it. And, you know, it could be the capitalist person will say, well, if you can't afford it, you don't have access. But at the same time, if nobody has access to it, how are you going, like you just said, how are you going to get people excited about the next one, or spin-offs, or DLC, or something else from that studio? Yeah, it seems like a self-defeating prophecy, which is a sad thing to see. Certainly for people of our age, certainly where, you know, discs were, physical stuff was the way forward, to play it and to share and to talk with your friends about.
Yeah. I have a whole story about Austin Powers, the movie, but I will save that for another time. That completely ties into this, but we should move on, because
yes.
I think we'll just complain about this for a long time, and we're old men.
We are old men, and we need our sleep.
Exactly.
All right, so we've had our moan, we've had our whinge about the current state of the industry, and we've had some good standout games for the year, both honourable mentions and probably, I'm sure, our games of the year are in there. Potentially, we'll see by the time we get to the end of November. But we're going to round off with just a few games that we're looking forward to, a few parts of games necessarily that we're looking forward to. And I'm going to let you kick things off, as always, as the gracious host, with one of your picks, please. You've got a couple listed here. Feel free.
Okay, well, Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC, Dragon's Dogma 2 Darker Vision. What a great game! What an unexpected game to be returning, and so they announced it, and I mean, part of what's been so fantastic with the game is being able to turn around to my partner and being like, "Hey, that game that was incredible, they're making more of it, and seeing her whole face light up in that moment and just being like, yeah. And my buddy bought her 30 euros worth of credit on Xbox, so that's going straight to the Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC for her. We've already talked about Capcom not missing, and we're going to talk about Capcom not missing again, I think, and a little bit later. I'm just so happy that this game's back, and even if it's not quite what I wanted, it's a bit like when you hear that maybe that first Silverchair album where you're like, yo, this is dope as hell, and then the second album is not quite as good, but it hits bigger. You're just like, I'm just happy people are listening to some Silverchair, like some more Silverchair, right? That's what Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like to me. It was like, it doesn't quite have the edginess and grittiness of the first one. I just don't care. I just want people to be happy that this thing is in the world, right?
I'm guilty of that. I didn't play the first. Well, I played a little bit of the first one, hated it. Okay. I just could not get into it. I don't know what it was. I think it might have been a demo. I don't know what I played, but I definitely played something. I didn't like it. But the second one was my game of the year that year. I was obsessed with it. I played, I don't know, 40, 50 hours. I completely missed the sort of true ending. Where you actually get like the title screen initially. When I finished it, I was like, I'm done with that. And then someone else finished it, and they're like, "Did you get the?" And I was like, "What?" And then I went back, and there was this whole like end game. I was like, I missed all of this completely, and I had a great time going through that. And so yes, I'm looking forward to whatever this DLC will offer. Have they said? Have they given like a scope of what is exactly in it, or how long we can expect it to be?
There's an Arctic screenshot, so it feels like it might be a new area set in snow. I don't want to presume, but the original Dark Arisen was you went to a different area and it became a bit more Dark Souls. You go down through different levels and stuff. So it could be that. I don't know. I'm in for the ride. If it's 20 hours of more content, brilliant. If it's 3 hours of more content, sure. Just give me more. Just give me more stuff.
Yeah, I haven't played it since I've finished it, properly finished it. Just after it come out. And yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna have to acquaint myself with its quirks, because obviously it's one of those games that it doesn't hold your hand, does it? It sort of throw you in and be like, good luck, fuck you, bye. So I have to get back into the swing of it. I think maybe a few weeks beforehand. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this offers and seeing the challenge it brings and seeing more pawns and climbing more beasts and fighting all sorts of manner of stuff. Whatever it is, I mean, doesn't matter. I mean, it's October, right? Is that right?
I believe it's 3 or 4 days before one of our other exciting games that we're excited about.
Yes, which again, there's not enough time in the world to play all the video games we want to play. I fully intend on checking this out. It could come that I have to wait until the new year when it's a bit quieter, perhaps, but I will definitely be playing it 100%. Just play Dragon's Dogma 2. If you haven't played it, just fucking go and play it. It's excellent. Just a wonderful game. Review on xboxtavern.com. I think Ross reviewed that one.
I also did an article called "With Pawns Like These, Who Needs Friends" or something, which is basically talking about the ridiculous pawn system and how it's impossible not to fall in love with these NPCs. I'm not going to use AI because that's a completely other separate problem.
Yeah, I had one. I forget her name, but she was brilliant. And then eventually I outgrew her, and I was like, I don't want to get rid of her. So I had to eventually. I was like, goodbye, and I sent her off into the distance. And then many hours later, I stumbled back across her again, and she'd been leveled up by her player, and so she could come back to our party. Like, get back in the party. Come on, let's go. Yeah, Oh, it's a great, yeah, what a tremendous game. A fantastic adventure, just start to finish. Yeah, excellent. Any more Dragon's Dogma? Anything else you want to...
I mean, we'll see, because I don't want to crow too much about this, because the Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC could come out, and I'm like, whoa, this sucks.
I mean, there is a possibility of that, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. I've got faith in Capcom right now, so yeah, no, I'm psyched. I'm super psyched.
They're on a high, like you said. Resident Evil 9, Pragmata, DLC, Jungle Dog with DLC, and then the other game we'll get to in just a moment. For me, I've got a couple of quick ones I'll rattle through. Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy. I really like the first Plague Tale games. I don't know if you've played Innocence and Requiem.
I played both of them.
Excellent, and they're tremendous games. They're a bit of stealthy action. Alicia and Hugo, if I remember right, is the little brother's name.
Hugo.
And I mean, the gameplay I really liked. The story is tremendous. They look fucking stunning. And this one takes more of an action spin rather than the stealth of the previous two. So there's a lot more combat. I was reading an article, a preview on Edge, as well as various websites and what have you. And it sounds like they're going for a more action spin, but still honouring the sort of Plague Tale storytelling and world and stuff. It looks pretty cool. Blood of Dawnwalker is out in September, I believe September 24th. Maybe the same day as another game on this list. And from the little I have seen, because I've tried to stay away from too much because I don't want to spoil it. It looks awesome. It looks like it's going to be another, perhaps not Dragon's Dogma 2 in terms of the style of game, but in terms of the surprise of the year, like something that I might not have checked out had it not been for a few key points in the trailers and screenshots and stuff. But now I'm quite excited to see how deep the RPG thing is, how much they can do the sort of time-based challenge, because if I'm not mistaken, you've got a set amount of time to survive over the course. Maybe I'm misreading that or misremembering that, but it looks really cool. Gameplay looks really cool. Again, the previews on, I think IGN have got a IGN first for it at the minute. And some of the bits and pieces I've seen in there.
Sorry,
cool.
Bloodwalker. Sorry,
Dawn of the Bloodwalker.
Dawn of the Bloodwalker.
Yeah, I realised as I've
that's the one that looked like a bit like it looked like a Witcher game to me.
Yeah, and I believe it's from some of the people who created The Witcher as well.
Okay.
Which is why it's got that sort of influence to it. Yeah, it looks really cool. Looks really cool indeed. But the main one, I'm going to get into this one, and AJ is very excited about this. I know he is.
I'm going to stop you there just for a second because I want to talk about the Plague Tale.
Go.
So, like, a sober and interesting company, because I looked them up, and they've been around forever, and they're making, like, I'm making this name up, but I think they had, like, a game that was, like, called Jump Giraffes or something on PS2. And then they kind of hit their stride with a lot of their motion stuff, and they did Microsoft Flight Simulator.
They are the creators of Microsoft Flight Simulator and the recent, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, whatever it was that come out.
Yeah, which is wild. And do you not have any concerns? Because like the first game for me was like, wow, this is an interesting stealth game. I hope they expand on the world in really interesting ways. To the point where we got these proper like systemic like areas to play in, and then the second one was like, what if we were Uncharted, where you push forward on the stick and just watch things happen? Are you not worried about the third one at all? Or do you like that stuff? I mean,
I love Uncharted, so I can't say. Right. But I mean, I can see what you're saying with Requiem. But I really liked the general pace of it, and there was a bit more set pieciness to it, I think. But there was certainly points where I felt the stealth was better than Innocence. I'm picturing one part. There was like a fort, like an old-timey fort with different buildings, and you're trying to sneak through it.
And then there's like a drawbridge at one point as well, right? Yeah.
There were a lot of enemies to try and sneak around, and that stealth section I thought was really, really well done. Again, just that particular part sticks in the mind. And this one being a bit more actiony it's got like the Resident Evil 6 problem, throwing it back to earlier on, where they might necessarily not be focusing on what made the first two games enjoyable. They're sort of well, people like action games and they like this world, so maybe we'll build an action. And it'll be interesting to see if they can pull that off. Whereas, just avoiding the stealth but going action, can they still capture the same essence of Plague Tale? Whereas,
are the rats even involved?
I don't think they are, if I'm not mistaken. I think because this is prequel. The character you play as, I forget her name. I believe she's one you meet in Requiem. So I think this is the prequel, like her story leading up to that. Okay. I don't think, well, at least they haven't announced at the moment that the rats, and certainly not to the same degree where you've got to sneak around and try and use fire to keep them away from you and stuff. But by the same token, I am looking forward to playing it. It's out next month, I think. And I think in about a month from as we sit here and talk right now. So,
time is dilating and speeding up in ways like I'm not ready for.
Just if we could just stop for I don't know, a year, maybe that'll probably be enough time to catch up on everything.
I think so.
Maybe. It's mad. But we'll see what happens with it. It's obviously coming to Game Pass. It's coming to all the formats. So although Asobo are like a Microsoft Xbox affiliated studio, they do release everything everywhere. So look forward to playing that one. Your favorite game, your favorite series, as I understand that I'm reliably informed, one of your
100% correct. I never miss an episode.
Good. I mean, it's got to be GTA 6, isn't it? I have been waiting for this for 13 years. I'm going to give you some small anecdotes. I'll try and keep them as brief as possible as I can.
No, don't. Look, pitch me. I need to know. Go pitch me. So don't keep it brief. Don't be embarrassed by this. This is good. I love this.
So GTA 5, 13 years ago, by the way. Not that anyone should be keeping track of time. Just after my first child was born, it came out. My wife was very gracious. She took my newborn child away for 4 days, and I just sat there and played GTA 5, and I loved it. It's I love the open world. I love the characters. I love in GTA 5 particularly. I love the combat. I love the driving. I love the exploration. I love the way they build a simulation of admittedly very exaggerated world, and then just let you not do anything. I think the do anything thing is way overblown, but there's very little that you can't do in terms of mucking around in the world that you wouldn't be able. Like you can drive around, you can go fight people, you can do little mini games and side games, and there's lots of secrets to discover. The Mount Chiliad mystery kept me hooked for years on that game.
So what's the Mount Chiliad? I'm sorry.
So in the Los Santos in GTA 5, there's a mountain called Mount Chiliad. You get to the top of that, and there's a cable car that goes from top to the ground level. Inside the cable car station, there's a mural of the mountain with all these different symbols on it. And it's still going on today, but for years and years, people were trying to figure out what this mural represented. There was all these symbols like a jetpack, an egg, and the UFO, and different eyes, and all this sort of stuff. And people found a lot of it, but there's one. No one's ever found the jetpack, and no one's ever found like the full meaning of what the whole thing means. They found bits like they found the UFO, they found aliens, and they found all these secrets under the sea and in the mountain and around this huge map. But people were still hunting for clues, and even in like Red Dead Redemption, people are still finding clues to new mysteries now that haven't been added in. They've just been there the whole time. They've just been so well crafted that people are sort of looking at spider webs and lights and on telegraph poles. It's insane. And yeah, the level of detail they put into these games, GTA 5 particularly, but even GTA 4, like I've been replaying the Ballad of Gay Tony, the GTA 4 DLC the last week. I fuck it. It's tremendous. I love it. But yeah, the callbacks to the main story, the callbacks to the other characters in other games, the mission design, just what you're doing. It's not like intricate, deep, meaningful stuff, but it's just fun action carnage of you're helicoptering over a city and then parachuting in, shooting fucking fools left, right, and centre, getting a thing, climbing out, base jumping out of a window, getting in a car and driving off and land on a boat, and it's just I love these games, and I'm so looking forward to GTA 6. I can't quite express it adequately, I don't think, but I'm just looking forward to exploring the world of Florida, the pretend Florida, because I love going to Florida, and I like to see their sort of representation of these real places in these exaggerated but also somewhat realistic way. Like they get the landmarks and they get the key elements of it right. And yeah, I can't wait. I've already planned. I'm not sure whether I'm going to take some time off yet, but I'm already planning on how I can disappear for 3 or 4 days at least and just get lost in this world and just explore and see what excellence they've cooked up. And yeah, it's just one of those games. Obviously, they've spent a long time making it, a lot of money making it. If it's not the next best thing since sliced bread, I think people are going to be very, very disappointed indeed. You included, obviously. I know you're looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait. I've played all the greats. Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. Oh, sorry, wait, are we talking about GTA again? Sorry, I beg your pardon. No, I mean, there's... So I wrote a 3,500 word essay on how much I hate GTA 5. But if I want to focus on like the positive of it, there's a moment in GTA 5. And if I was going to be aspirational, there's a moment where I'm driving along, an event happens, and there's a woman who's been shot in GTA 5. And you get her into your car and you start driving away, and she's like, "Oh, I messed everything up." And it's like she's bleeding out as you're trying to get to the hospital, and she starts to tell you about her life story and all this other stuff. And if you get her to the hospital, she lives. If you don't get her to the hospital, she bleeds out and dies. But if you get her to the hospital, she becomes a driver for the completely underwhelming heists that you can do. But in that moment of finding this woman and her talking about her life and like the things that are happening, I was like locked in for like a good 15 minutes. I was like, holy shit, this is some good storytelling. I like this woman. And I used her for every heist afterwards. She was always the driver. And I was like, when GTA hits, it hits. And I love that scene. I love that scene, and I will never forget it. Also at the same time, I'm just genuinely, I think it's fun to see people getting excited about this game, because it's become such a monolith of... It's the same way in which, like, when I hear people who are excited about Call of Duty, I'm just like, oh, Call of Duty, that's just a thing that people buy, a bit like toilet paper, right? It's just something you need. When someone's like, no, I'm excited about it, and these are the things that get me excited about it, that's a great thing to hear. Like, understanding, like, that's the way I was like, don't rush through it. Don't, just tell me why you're excited about this game. Because, yeah, it's nothing to me. It's a blip, but, like, it's clearly important to people, and it's like it has impacted. And the stuff, even when the mount, whatever it's called, sorry, I've forgotten the name already. Yeah. The fact that people are like picking this thing apart is so cool. It's a very, very awesome thing.
You have people. I mean, again, there's so much to dig into it. It's insane. But you have people like listening to, what's the right word? Like sound waves of when the lights flick on street lamps, trying to like Morse code, trying to decode whether it's telling something. Okay. And looking at different times of day, like where people go, where NPCs go, where it's like shadows fall on certain items, on certain buildings that make it look like there's a word, or make it look like there's it's insane, and a lot of it is bullshit. Admittedly, a lot of it is just people reaching for the. But a lot of the mystery has been solved that way, of people just, I wonder if, and then they just sort of gradually feed themselves from there. And I think part of the reason I'm excited about GTA 6 particularly is they did all that in GTA 5 on the 360. Red Dead Redemption 2 come out on the Xbox One, obviously in PS4, and the quality of the simulation and the quality of the world building and the writing and the characters and the story and everything and the gameplay was just another level above. I still prefer GTA just because it's a bit of a fast pace, a bit, Red Dead's quite slow at times, but I love Red Dead 2. But I think if they can take the open world simulation and the detail out of Red Dead, add it to the faster pace, more sort of modern day GTA, and then again improve it in the 8 years since Red Dead 2, I think I'm looking at another. It might even beat Resident Evil 9, and that's gonna have to go some because I fucking love Resident Evil. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to GTA. I'm obviously not the only one. I haven't pre-ordered the DLC yet, or the digital version yet, because A, why would you, and B, we've already talked about physical and digital and what have you. But yeah, I'm definitely disappearing for at least a couple of days when that comes out, and just getting lost in this world and seeing what I can find and what's new and what's exciting to see. And yeah, if it sets a new bar for gaming, as I feel GTA 5 did, just in terms of the world and in terms of what they offered. So yeah, look forward to that. No, November 19th, I'll be like, bye, see you again at some point maybe.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not GTA 6 is the only. I mean, it is the big game of the year, but it's not the only big game of the year. You got another couple on your list here, so hit me with your next one. What else are we looking at?
Okay, so Onimusha is another Capcom game. I played the demo. The demo just flowed in a way. So we mentioned I mentioned Hell Is Us. Hell Is Us's combat is messy in a way that doesn't feel like the gameplay designers really knew what they were doing with enemy placement and other stuff like that, like understanding how to make everything spark. And I played Onimusha and I was like, oh no, every part of what you're doing here is next level, in the sense of I just felt like at no point was this game unfair in a demo. It was like, oh, I'm parrying, I'm doing these things, I'm throwing stuff up, I'm picking things in, doing these things. Onimusha is going to be maybe not the greatest Capcom game ever, but that's not what I'm asking for. I'm just asking for a shit hot, like another Master of Craft application of what Capcom do. Because I remember playing the first Onimusha on PlayStation 2, and I was at someone's house, and I didn't understand like what it was trying to do at the time, so I was very confused. But it's Resident Evil, but with samurais and melee and stuff. But when it clicked, I was like, I'm in a flow state. And I played that demo, and I was like, oh, I'm in a flow state. I'm moving through each thing. I'm understanding the way in which I'm supposed to parry, when I'm supposed to do these things. The feedback from the game is perfect. I'm so excited for Onimusha. It's going to be another just Capcom executing on something, and I really hope they continue to sell well, because I think they need to be rewarded for how good they make their games.
Absolutely, like we said earlier on, like the industry should be looking at them and how they set out their workflow and how they perform and how they, they don't necessarily release, 10 out of 10s all the time. Although maybe they do in terms of Resident Evil and Dragon's Dogma, but they aim for the moon and damn well hit every single time. even if a few things might stumble along the way. I have to be the counter to you. I didn't like the demo at all. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
I don't know if I wasn't in the right headspace or in the right mood or whatever. But I've recently reviewed Onimusha 2, like when they did the remaster of it.
Yeah.
And I'd never played Onimusha before, and I quite liked it. It wasn't my favourite game, but I quite liked getting into it. And so I played the demo. I thought, oh, yeah, proper modern on it. And for whatever reason, I just could not get into. I couldn't get into the flow of it. I couldn't find a rhythm with it. I just kept finding every time I got into a combat scenario or exploring, I didn't find that urge to yes, it was just like not quite feeling this. I probably should try the demo again, really, because again, when I played it, it was I think it was probably not long after I got back off of being offshore, so I was probably still a bit fucking out of it and not quite back into the rhythm of how I should be. But I would like it to be awesome, and I'm sure it will be awesome for yourself and those. But yeah, I can't say it's something that I'm super keen on. But I've been proven wrong before by things like Dragon's Dogma, which I wasn't at all bothered about until I played it, and then I absolutely loved it. So maybe I'll be.
Can you describe like what wasn't hitting for you?
I just didn't I just didn't find the combat engaging for me.
Okay.
I can't really put my finger on it. It was just every time I got into a fight, it was not. Yeah, come on. It was,
Okay.
And again, that's probably on me. Maybe I didn't understand the mechanics, or maybe I just, again, wasn't in the right headspace or the right mood for it. I'm not sure, but I will try again. I will certainly try again. But
you directly described how I felt about the original Onimusha when I played on the PS2. I remember being like, oh, and like not being on the wavelength at all. And then I came back to it a little bit later, and I was like, oh right, okay, this is what's going on. Fair enough. Let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe. Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we could be the inverse. Maybe I'll love Onimusha and you'll love GTA. Who knows?
Oh, no, I don't think that's going to happen.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll become the game of the year at the end of the year. We'll see how we've.
Could you imagine? Like you and I sit down. And you're like, so GTA 6, massive disappointment, and I'm like, but all of the weird, systematic, intrinsic storytelling that's going on. I mean, it's basically Disco Elysium, but on a wider scale.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, no, that's not what I want from a GTA 6 at all.
Stranger things have happened. We'll see. All right. Well, let's move on to the final one that's on both of our lists, and something that hopefully we can agree on. And then that we can all go to bed and have our beauty sleep. Gears of War E-Day. Before we get into, nice. Before we get into Gears of War E-Day itself, tell me about your history of Gears. Have you played them all? Have you got a particular favourite?
I didn't, because I was still playing original Xbox, and the 360 came out. I was in Montreal at the time, and I was like, I don't see any reason to upgrade. I'm playing plenty good games. And I went round to a friend's house, his name's Trey, and they were playing split screen Gears of War, and they were going through the moment where all of the bats, the eating bats thing is happening. And I was like, oh, no. Like, things have moved on. The original Xbox is not good enough. I need to play Gears. Gears is also responsible for me getting subscribed to Xbox Live, as I played the online versus multiplayer religiously. Like, there are certain people. There's a guy called Knife Party 666 who I've never met in real life, but I know he's friends with friends, and that's the only way I refer to him, is as Knife Party 666. I played so much Gears of War. It was really obsessive, but it wasn't until Gears 2 that I was like, oh, this is a franchise. This is really, really important. I hate Gears 3. Mainly the campaign of Gears 3 I think is terrible. But the Horde mode is amazing. Like, it's like absolutely super important. Now, I'm going to say something that's controversial. Gears of War Judgment, the best campaign. Easily the best campaign. The multiplayer, not good. The campaign, so good. The campaign is so good. Gears 4, not really a big thing for me. But then Gears 5 came out, and I met my current wife. She'd not played a lot of third-person perspective games, and so Jack in Horde mode was perfect because she was able to like essentially move on a 2D plane, and she was obsessed with Horde mode. We played it hundreds of hours over 2-3 years. So yeah, huge Gears fan. She's like, hey, there better be 5-player Horde mode in E-Day, or else I don't give a shit. But yeah, I'm a huge fan. I mean, I did a replay of a bunch of the games. The It's Okay is genuinely one of the funniest moments in the entire Gears history. And then the thought that they did it in 2 and they brought it back in 3, and it's like terrible writing, and some people like, oh, that's an emotional moment. It's not. It's fucking terrible.
But it's brilliant.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I'm not gonna lie. What about you?
Yeah, much the same. Like Gears, since day one. I used to work with a man named Alan. Hello, Alan, if you're watching. And we played Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears 3 campaign together multiple times on various difficulties. We used to work in the pub together, and we'd get home at 1 in the morning, play all night long, and then go back to work the next morning, and we were out sleeping. We back in the day. We played. We absolutely rinsed those Gears of War games. The Horde mode as well, especially Gears 2, like the very first Horde mode. We spent hours and hours and hours trying to beat that on. Is it Insanity, the difficulty, or Insane, whatever it's called?
Oh yeah.
I think it's Insane.
Oh my god.
It's trying to get through level 50, 50 levels in one go without dying. We did it.
Brumac shows up, and you're hiding in a little cave, just being like, "Stop trying to kill me!"
Like 100 Lancer bullets. I love those games. Gears 4, I played on my own, and I didn't enjoy it very much at all. Something again, much like on a music, like something just didn't sit with me. Maybe it was the time and place. I'm not sure. Gears 5 I really liked. I've reviewed it for xboxtavern.com. Really like the campaign on that one. I've never been a big Gears multiplayer guy, like the versus mode. A, because I'm shit at it, and B, because again it feels like it rewards. What's the right way of putting it? I'm going to call them basic bitch tactics, even though they probably aren't. But it's dodge rolling with a shotgun straight to the face. Every other weapon is basically useless because you just get people rolling around.
So I'm gonna
shotgun, and just not fun to me.
So I'm gonna say I disagree with you. I think a bunch of the new modes, the new versus modes in Gears, rewards exactly what you're talking about. The basic buckshot tactic. But the old Gears of War modes, the one where you get 1 life, absolutely punish that. And there was an incredible mode that got put into Gears 5, which is called like the touchdown mode, where everyone is carrying something, trying to get to the flag on the other side and do essentially a touchdown. And everyone gets 1 life. And in that, it shines what those mechanics are. If you're a showboater, you will get destroyed. And I remember me and 4 friends, we played it because it's 5v5. And I was like, hey, 3 people spread out onto your lanes, and then the other 2 people move between to help support. and every time you get a showboater, they get punished in most spectacular ways, and it's so much fun. But you're right. Like, what has now become a predominant Gears mode, which is 6v6, who gets the most kills, those mechanics don't support it at all. But the original one is, when you die, it's over.
Yeah.
And so when everyone does the shotgun thing, all it takes is 2 people to identify that person and just be like, we're gonna stay behind cover and shotgun him, and then the rest of the team will fall apart. But yeah, you're right.
But I'm looking forward to trying it again, because I don't remember playing that touchdown mode you mentioned in Gears of War 5.
It got released about a year after the game was out.
Yeah, so I sort of dropped in every now and then a little bit of multiplayer, but yeah, I just kept my arse handed to me, so I moved back to ones I can actually play somewhat competently. But yeah, so this new Gears of War Day, obviously, it's a single player campaign. Well, a campaign up to 4 players, I believe, co-op in campaign.
Yes.
And it's like a prequel to the original one, so it's like setting off the Emergence Day, the E-Day of the title. Horde is back, and it's called Horde Siege, and it's got 12-player PvE mode. So your missus will be very happy that there is at least 5-player options, and what I've got up here. So it's 3 squads to 4 players, which makes it the 12, obviously. And they're like large battles rather than sort of small areas. Like, I think Gears of War 5, I seem to remember there was one map that was fucking tiny, and you had to defend like the back bit, like curved bit of a building. I don't remember specifically what the name was. But this looks like a bit more chaos. They showed some of this in the showcase last month with the Gears of War Direct they had. And Marcus Phoenix is back. Dom Santiago is back. And then we get to see a few other characters from we've met before, like Ty and stuff.
Dizzy's back, I think. Is Dizzy?
Yeah. I think Dizzy in the trailer, and then a few new ones as well. I forget the names of the new characters that we are joined by. But what is it? Is there one thing you're particularly looking forward to about this sort of prequel, or is it just more Gears that you're after?
There's nothing in particular I'm looking forward to. It's just, this is a game that's been with me for now, God, it's 20 years, because it was 2006, 2007 that game came out.
Yeah.
I just have a deep ingrained love for this franchise, of just realizing, especially like, I mean, Halo did it first on the original Xbox, like a first-person shooter can work. But Gears of War was just like, what if we changed almost entirely the mechanics for it to make sense on a controller? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm bought in.
Yeah.
Dom and Marcus are definitely in love, and they haven't dealt with it.
I mean, they were spoilers.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. But the only thing I'm kind of disappointed about this is that I just feel like they've done a coward's way of not doing a Gears 6, and doing the prequel. I would have loved for them, because the new team, the Coalition, who are not the best people in the world from what I've heard, they treat some of their outsourcers pretty badly.
Life under
at least
stuff, baby.
Yeah. True. But at least they started hinting at like what world would exist where you have a bunch of muscle-bound weirdos running around murdering people, and they especially in 5 they started being like, hey, is this world like a good world? We're not really sure. And in E-Day, I'd be interested to see what they actually try and follow up with that, like what stuff they try to explore with it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I suspect part of it as well, obviously, is this a prequel. They just released Gears of War. Was it Reloaded? They called it, or the most recent remaster of the first Gears of War again.
Yeah.
And obviously that was on PS5. this was rumored to be on PS5 and leaked to be on PS5 before they got. Actually, no, it's Xbox only and PC. So I suspect part of the prequel idea was let's get the PlayStation people on board with like an early one, and then we'll work them up through it. But I am interested to see a Marcus and Dom again, because I love those characters, as cheesy as they can be. And Ryan McCaffrey from IGN, his impression of Marcus doing the nice when he reloads, get the perfect reload. It gets me every time. Gets me every time. And yeah, I mean, obviously from a technical perspective, using Unreal, and Gears of War has been an Unreal showcase since day one. And using the latest version of Unreal, they were showing off the what they call them, mega lights, and all the sort of intricate details and the physics and the destruction and the combat and stuff. It is going to be, at the very least, a very good time to play through the campaign.
Agreed.
Solo or otherwise. And then from there, the multiplayer, I will give it a go. I probably won't stick with it, but the horde mode, I think might
Come on, we should do some horde mode.
We should do some horde mode, especially it being 12 players as well. I feel like we've got no excuse but to get a big group of us together and jump on some horde. And yeah, like you, Gears has been with me since day one. Well, I've been with Gears since day one, I should say. And I'll always... They'd have to do something drastically wrong for me not to be excited about Gears of War game. And calling it Gears of War is a good start, not Gears. Gears 5 was...
Oh, you didn't like that?
I wasn't a big fan of the removal of War from Gears 5.
Again, I actually appreciated it, because I was like, I never called it Gears of War. I always called it Gears.
Everybody calls it Gears. But...
So I was like, when they said Gears 5, I was like, yep, sure. Okay, let's just do this.
To me, Gears is like a nickname, like people call me Jay. My name's Jamie. I don't care. It makes a difference to me. But Gears is. Oh, have you played Gears? Oh yeah, I love Gears. And then when you talk about it properly, it's Gears of War 5 or Gears of War 4. Gears of War. Yeah, it's a stupid thing to be upset about. Don't get me wrong. It's a ridiculous thing, but I appreciate the addition of the full name, please.
Fair enough.
Sir Gears of War, the third of Sierra. But yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to knocking more of that out and change. Just the chainsaw lancer is one of the best weapons ever invented in a game.
Yeah, and agreed.
Let me chainsaw more fools, please. Just and hear Marcus Phoenix screaming, "Nice!" It's utmost nice. Yeah. Well, speaking of nice, this has been nice, but I probably should let you go to bed. We've been going for quite a while now. I could go for a lot longer, but we really should stop and go about our weekends. But thank you very much, AJ. It's been a fucking pleasure once again to talk to you.
Absolutely.
In person ish. But as close as we're going to get for now. Maybe one day we'll rectify that, hopefully, at some point soon. But you can read all of AJ's reviews and opinion pieces and what have you on xboxtavern.com. You can read other reviews from other lovely people, including myself, on xboxtavern.com. Gaming Tavern YouTube channel for various streams and gameplay and shorts and what have you. We recently streamed Mecha Chameleon. Have you seen that game?
No. Is it good?
It's the latest friend slop stuff. So it's basically hide and seek, but you paint your character to match the environment.
All right. So I like this.
Yeah, and it's a very simple concept, and it's done very well. So you hide in, for example, one of the levels is in a barn like type thing, and you can hide up against a cow and paint like the cow's like black and white on you to blend in, or you can hide in the hay bale and paint yourself to look like a hay bale, stuff like that. Yeah, it's very fun. But yeah, it's like a friend slop. You play for an hour and that's enough for today. We'll play again soon at some point. But yeah, we recently streamed that. We recently streamed many other games, so you can go check them out. But for now, I'm Jamie from me on Xbox Tavern. For my reviews, you can find AJ on Xbox Tavern. Anyway, do you want to shout out anything else out, Mr. AJ, before we disappear?
You can find me on Blue Sky as Badger Commander. But I have maybe personally controversial opinions on not LinkedIn, Letterboxd, also at Badger Commander. Lot of opinions about movies. So we'll see.
You can go and tell AJ why you should only be watching Jaws and the View Askew universe on there immediately. Right. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. And AJ, until the game of the year, probably, farewell.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much for having me.
Goodbye. Bye.